Chapter 87. It seems that after the Black Dragon's blood meridians were implanted, my control over certain desires has somewhat declined. Inside the hot spring bath, Yang Feng glanced at Judy in his bosom. At this moment, the beautiful young lady from Sanger clan, Judy's whole body had already turned red, her eyes were tightly closed, she was slightly gasping for breath, as if a powerless kitten was curled up in Yang Feng's bosom. Her beautiful appearance made Yang Feng's heart somewhat restless. After transmigrating to the world of warlocks, Yang Feng had always been in a state of panic, frantically upgrading his strength and learning all kinds of knowledge. At that time, he didn't even have the chance to enjoy such a beautiful young lady like Judy. Now was the first time he was enjoying this delicious dessert. I'm now a level 1 warlock, I'm no longer an ant that can be casually pinched to death. It's also not bad to enjoy in my leisure time. Yang Feng caressed Judy's smooth and elastic skin, the corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile. However, my enemies are also very powerful. I absolutely can't stop advancing. Yang Feng thought of Starlight Aldrich and felt a headache. Eunice was now under Yang Feng's control. She had already obediently pledged allegiance to Yang Feng. Starlight Aldrich had arranged countless contingencies on her body, otherwise Yang Feng would have already swallowed her whole. Yang Feng's scalp turned slightly numb when he thought of becoming enemies with Tyrannid subcontinent's most powerful great warlock. The mechanical Black Dragon's battle prowess was comparable to that of a great warlock, but its methods were actually inferior to that of a genuine great warlock. For such a terrifying existence like Starlight Aldrich to kill a level 1 warlock like Yang Feng, he didn't need many methods. I have 4 choices in my current situation. The first is to explore an ancient god's treasure trove. The second is to go to another plane. The third is to go to Black Dragon Empire. The fourth is to go to other places in the name of others. The ancient god's treasure trove is too dangerous. The difficulty of another plane is unknown. If it's a world where formidable existences are everywhere, then it's very unwise for me to go there with my current strength. With Reigns, Black Dragon Empire is a good choice. With him, my development in Black Dragon Empire can be twice the result with half the effort. Moreover, Black Dragon Empire can also consume my elixirs in large quantities. Yang Feng calculated in his mind. The Black Dragon Empire was a force controlled by the Black Dragon Tower. Unlike Warlock College Antalya, Black Dragon Pagoda's warlock groups had infiltrated every nook and cranny of Black Dragon Empire. In the Black Dragon Empire, more than 70% of warlocks were in the hands of the Black Dragon Pagoda. Only a few rogue cultivators with incomplete inheritances were struggling at death's door in the barren wilderness of the Black Dragon Empire. Half a month later. On an incomparably spacious main road in the Black Dragon Empire, an incomparably huge convoy was traveling. That incomparably huge convoy was different from the many carriages in Tyrannid subcontinent. All of them were heavy trucks. In the middle of the hundreds of heavy trucks, there was a huge luxury car. Inside the luxurious limousine, Yang Feng was comfortably lying on Eunice's slender legs. Judy was kneeling on the side, carefully massaging his legs. Shi Shui was all smiles as she peeled crystal fruits and sent them into his mouth. Eunice was holding a book that described the local customs and practices of the Black Dragon Empire, softly reading it. Bud was wearing a warrior's attire, riding a black wildebeest, commanding 100 cavalrymen, proudly opening a path in the front. With the help of a large amount of precious elixirs provided by Yang Feng, Bud had also broken through and promoted to a level 1 Sky Knight a month ago, possessing formidable battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. This made Bud even more loyal towards Yang Feng. The convoy ahead immediately stop and accept inspection. Suddenly, a biting cold voice came from the front. Darren, we've arrived at Black Dragon City. Bud's respectful voice came from outside the limousine. Yang Feng lazily got up from Eunice's slender legs, the limousine's door automatically opened and he directly walked out. Not far away, there was a 200 m tall city wall. Every brick was refined from black steel rock and engraved with mysterious runes. The city wall stretched as far as the eye could see. At the same time, a majestic city with more than 300 warlock pagodas appeared before Yang Feng's eyes. In front of a huge gate below the huge city, there was a team of knights who were maintaining order, all of whom were knight-level powerhouses. 2 knight-rank experts dressed in ordinary city guard uniforms blocked in front of Yang Feng and his entourage. In the surroundings of the huge city gate stood a large number of people waiting to enter the city. Those people had expressions of curiosity as they looked at Yang Feng and his entourage's huge convoy. It was the first time they had seen such a huge Earth-style convoy. However, Black Dragon City was Black Dragon Empire's most flourishing city, as well as the headquarters of Black Dragon Pagoda. Within Black Dragon City, magic sports cars could be seen everywhere. Although those magic sports cars were 80% similar to heavy-duty trucks and large limousines made them somewhat surprised, but they didn't make a fuss. Yang Feng took out a token engraved with a black dragon and directly threw it to a knight, saying lightly, "I'm His Highness Rain's man." The knight received the token and carefully looked at it. His complexion changed slightly. He respectfully handed the token to Yang Feng and said, "Please enter." Rains was Black Dragon Pagoda's master Anthony's most beloved youngest son. These knights were just ordinary soldiers. How would they dare to make things difficult for Rain's men? 2 knights promptly stepped forward to drive away the citizens waiting to enter the city, opening up a spacious path for Yang Feng and his entourage to enter first. Once he entered Black Dragon City, Yang Feng saw spacious and bright streets appear before his eyes. The spacious streets were bustling with people coming and going. Moreover, there were also a large number of sunlight trees planted there. Black magic sports cars could be seen speeding along the spacious streets. A middle-aged man dressed in a butler's attire arrived before Yang Feng and his entourage and said courteously, "May I ask if you're Rex Darren?" "I'm His Highness Rain's servant, Maru." Rex was the fake identity Yang Feng had chosen. Simultaneously his appearance had also changed. Under the control of the nanomorph robot, he had turned into a blonde Westerner. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, "That's right, I'm Rex." Maru said with a slight smile, "Please follow me." Yang Feng nodded slightly, followed behind Maru and walked towards the interior of Black Dragon City. Black Dragon City was divided into Inner City and Outer City. Black Dragon Empire's high-ranking aristocrats and warlocks lived in the Inner City. Black Dragon Empire's Imperial Palace as well as Black Dragon Pagoda's headquarters were located in Black Dragon City's Inner City. Outer City was where some ordinary aristocrats and citizens resided. Chapter 88. Rex, my dear brother, I'm so happy to be able to see you. Inside a luxurious palace, after Rain saw Yang Feng, he looked as if he had seen feces but had no choice but to swallow it. His face twisted and he welcomed Yang Feng with a strange forthright laugh. After Yang Feng released Rains didn't know how many ways to get rid of the liquid metal nanorobots within his body, but without exception, all of them failed, instead torturing Rains to the point where he almost collapsed. Rains had no choice but to obey Yang Feng's orders, but he still wasn't willing to see Yang Feng. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, "Rains, I'm also very happy to be able to see you. I'll be staying here for a long time, so it seems like I'll have to trouble you for a long time." Rain's complexion darkened at once. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Rains turned around with a gloomy expression towards the surrounding servants and shouted loudly, "All of you listen to me, Rex is my good brother, my best brother. His words are my words, his orders are my orders. Do you understand? If I find out that you're paying lip service but secretly disobeying his orders, then I'll feed you to my beloved Locke." "Yes, Master." Rain's Manor's servants didn't know why their always ungrateful and selfish master would issue such an order, but they all respectfully complied and didn't dare to slight him in the slightest. Locke was a venomous wyvern, a flying extraordinary life form with the battle prowess of a level 1 warlock. Those servants didn't want to be eaten alive by such a terrifying extraordinary life form. I wanted you to help me find Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix, did you find it? After dismissing all the servants, Yang Feng held Eunice and Judy in his arms, sat on a white fox sofa and said. Shi Shui's talent was extraordinary, she had already cultivated to the pinnacle level, 1 warlock realm. But without the following secret method, she was unable to break through and promote to a level 2 warlock. Of course, Yang Feng could also let Shi Shui specialize in other secret methods to break through the barrier of a level 2 warlock. But Shi Shui still liked Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix, she hoped to use this secret method as a foundation to promote to a level 2 warlock. Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix, this secret method belongs to a high-grade secret method, I've seen the level 1 warlock part. But the level 2 and above secret method, as far as I know, is in the hands of the level 3 warlock Ice Blue Young Maiden in Snow Pagoda's Great Warlock Snow White Madam. This is the Snow White Pagoda's strongest secret technique, its status is equivalent to our Black Dragon Pagoda's Black Dragon transformation. The level 1 warlock part is fine, but once someone uses the Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix method to cultivate to the level 2 warlock rank, then they will be chased by Snow White Pagoda. The Ice Blue Maiden was also chased by the Snow White Tower's warlocks. She had no choice but to seek shelter from Savage Claw to survive. Why don't you change to another secret technique? Rains glanced at Judy in Yang Feng's embrace and the flirtatious Eunice, his eyes flashed with a whiff of jealousy and envy as he cautiously said. Snow White Pagoda. Yang Feng tapped lightly with his index finger, pondering whether or not to mobilize the Mechanical Legion to directly raise Snow White Pagoda. After weighing it again and again, Yang Feng still gave up on this tempting idea. Although the mechanical Black Dragon possessed terrifying battle prowess comparable to that of a great warlock rank powerhouse, but warlocks could basically display terrifying battle prowess of a level higher than their own. Unless Snow White Madam could be lured out and killed, then with Yang Feng's Mechanical Legion attacking Snow White Pagoda, even if he won, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. Once other forces seized the opportunity to attack Steel City, then Yang Feng might not even have the time to digest the fruits of his victory before he would be forced to flee to Randit subcontinent. Yang Feng said, I want the Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix method secret method, do you have the means? Rain said, 3 days later, there will be a large-scale auction in Black Dragon City, there will be many treasures for sale. There's also the high-grade Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix method. The secret method in the auction can be practiced all the way until the Great Warlock rank, there will definitely be many people competing for it. The magic stones in my hands won't be able to compete with them. The secret method that could be practiced until the Great Warlock rank was incomparably precious, even if only a certain group of people could successfully practice it, it would still cause countless big shots to compete over it. Although Rains was doted on by Black Dragon Pagoda's Master Anthony, but the wealth in his hands couldn't compare with those old freaks that had lived for hundreds of years. Will these elixirs be enough? Yang Feng waved his hand, chests of elixirs flew out from the dimensional crest. Blue Mirage Elixir. So many. Rains picked up a vial of elixir, opened it and sniffed it, his complexion immediately changed greatly. He looked at the chests of Blue Mirage Elixir, he simply didn't dare to believe his eyes, his voice trembled somewhat. There were 100 vials of Blue Mirage Elixir in that chest. Each Blue Mirage Elixir was worth at least 5,000 magic stones. A chest of Blue Mirage Elixir was worth at least 500,000 magic stones. But here, there were 100 chests of Blue Mirage Elixir that were worth at least 50 million magic stones. Rain's entire assets might not be sold for 50 million magic stones. Yang Feng said faintly, there's also Dragon Blood Elixir and Mermaid Tears Elixir, 100 chests of each. Dragon Blood Elixir and Mermaid Tears Elixir, 100 chests of each. Rains inhaled a mouthful of cold air when he heard that, his eyes brimming with incredulity as he looked at Yang Feng. Dragon Blood Elixir and Mermaid Tears Elixir, such elixirs were also very precious in Black Dragon Pagoda. With Rain's status, he could only get one dragon blood elixir every month. Mermaid Tears elixir was even more priceless, he could only buy them from Black Dragon Pagoda's warlock pharmacists. Moreover, there was a limit, he couldn't buy more than 3 a year. Such precious elixirs were generally calculated by vials, each dragon blood elixir and mermaid tears elixir could become the finale treasures of some small-scale auctions. Now, Yang Feng actually took out 100 chests at once, making the experienced and knowledgeable Rains endlessly shocked. The corners of Yang Feng's mouth rose slightly as he said with a light smile, "After selling these elixirs, I can give you 10% of the selling price. Use these magic stones to arm yourself, then seize the throne of Black Dragon Empire." Rains was not only Anthony's most beloved son, but also the 9th successor of Black Dragon Empire. In theory, he had the opportunity to inherit Black Dragon Empire. The highest authority in Black Dragon Empire was in the hands of Black Dragon Pagoda's Pagoda Master. However, Black Dragon Pagoda's Pagoda Masters were basically great warlock rank experts, they were immersed in the pursuit of power and knowledge, they had very little interest in secular power. If Black Dragon Pagoda's Pagoda Master didn't come out, then the highest authority in Black Dragon Empire would be in the hands of Black Dragon Empire's Emperor. Once Rains became Black Dragon Empire's Emperor, then Yang Feng would be like a fish in water in Black Dragon Empire, obtaining endless benefits. Chapter 89. Flames of ambition flashed in Rain's eyes, and he said excitedly, "Good. Originally, I didn't have any hope of inheriting the throne of the Black Dragon Empire. However, since Master supports me, I will fight it out with them." Rains asked, "By the way, Master, how much of these 3 potions can you give me every month?" "Every month I could give as much as I do now." Rain's eyes lit up at first, then he smiled bitterly and said, "If so many drugs are released at once, it will directly crash the entire market. If I want to maintain the current price and obtain the highest profit, with the channels in my hands, I can only process this amount twice a year." Dragon Blood Elixir was extremely precious, but it was only effective for level 1 and level 2 warlocks. Level 1 and level 2 warlocks would at most buy 1 or 2 bottles to use when breaking through a bottleneck. Blue Mirage and Mermaid Tears, these elixirs capable of improving a person's soul aptitude, only some second-generation warlocks or warlock geniuses could afford to use them. Yang Feng said with a smile, "The means of payment can be more flexible. Mines, gold, grain, land, scrap iron, scrap steel, all kinds of ores are fine." The transactions between warlocks were mainly in the form of magic stones. Ordinary warlocks didn't care much for things like mines, gold, foodstuffs and territories. Rains revealed a trace of a smile and said, "If that's the case, I can digest this amount 4 times a year." Eunice's eyes reddened as she hugged Yang Feng's arm, she exhaled a fragrant breath and said coquettishly, "I also have some channels in the Southern States Alliance, can you give me a share?" Eunice was a very smart woman. She also had connections in the Southern States Alliance. He knew many big potion merchants who sold potions. The Blue Mirage Potion, Mermaid Tears Potion, and Dragon Blood Potion were all highly marketable potions. As long as one could get their hands on them, they could be sold very quickly. Yang Feng somewhat dotingly patted Eunice's butt and said, "All right. How about once a year? Just like Rains, I'll give you 10% of the selling price as profit." Eunice kissed Yang Feng's cheek and said sweetly, "Thank you." Judy also hesitantly tugged at Yang Feng's clothes and raised her head to look at him pitifully. Judy had already been properly educated by Shui to the point that her mind had already turned into a pet. Although she had already promoted to a level 1 warlock, but she didn't dare to compete with Eunice and Shui for favor. However, she also wanted to sell some potions and save up some money. Yang Feng pinched Judy's elastic flesh and said with a light smile, "Rest assured, you'll also get a share. Master is the best, I like you the most, woof." Judy threw herself into Yang Feng's embrace, kissed him enthusiastically and barked like a puppy. Shi Shui was like an aloof succubus queen looking at this scene with a smile. This was the result of her good education. Rains glanced at him enviously. After pondering for a while, he asked, "Master, do you have the bloodline of the Black Dragon? I can vaguely sense a bloodline resonance from your body." "That's right, I do have the bloodline of the Black Dragon." Rain said, "Then how about you join our Black Dragon Tower? Our Black Dragon Pagoda is a warlock group with Black Dragon's blood meridians as its core. Black Dragon Pagoda's upper echelon are all Blood Meridian warlocks with Black Dragon's blood meridians. You have the Black Dragon's blood meridians and you're also an official level 1 warlock. As long as you join our Black Dragon Pagoda, then you can become a Viscount and have a Viscountcy as your territory. Join Black Dragon Pagoda?" Yang Feng was slightly distracted. He pondered for a moment, then the corners of his mouth rose slightly and he said, "All right. I'll join Black Dragon Pagoda." A Viscountcy had a radius of approximately 500 li. At present, Steel City's sphere of influence was merely a little more than 5,000 square kilometers. A Viscountcy was equivalent to expanding Yang Feng's sphere of influence by more than 10%. Regarding this, Yang Feng was naturally very happy. Although Yang Feng joined Warlock College Antalya to study, but he didn't have any sense of identity with Warlock College Antalya. Joining Black Dragon Pagoda also didn't have any psychological barriers. Moreover, if he was chased by Starlight Aldrich to the point that he couldn't survive, then with a Viscountcy in Black Dragon Empire, Yang Feng could quickly stage a comeback. A crafty rabbit has 3 burrows, this was the principle. Rain smiled as he clapped his hands. 2 very beautiful and sexy maids came in. "Then tomorrow I'll take you to undergo a blood meridian test. Today, you can have a good rest." Yang Feng gave a slight smile, then got up and followed behind the 2 maids. The next morning, after eating a sumptuous breakfast, Rains took Yang Feng to a luxurious palace next to Black Dragon Empire's imperial palace. A handsome young man came up to greet them. He first greeted Rains, then curiously looked at Yang Feng and said, "Your Highness Rains, good morning." "Who's this?" Rains said, "This is Rex, a good friend I met during my travels, a possessor of Black Dragon's blood meridians. Under my persuasion, he agreed to join our Black Dragon Empire and become a part of our Black Dragon Empire. Dachman, come and examine his blood meridians." "Yes, Your Highness." Dachman took out a special syringe, at once pricked Yang Feng's right hand, extracted approximately 10 milliliters of blood, then dripped it on a crystal plate engraved with mysterious runes. A drop of Yang Feng's blood fell on the crystal plate, and a lifelike black dragon phantom rose from the crystal plate. A frightening dragon might diffused, and the black dragon faced upwards and issued a tremendous dragon roar. What a strong dragon might! This is a high-level concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. No, it's a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. It's actually a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. This is the first person after Pagoda Master to possess a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. In the end, who is it, to actually possess a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians? Inside the hall, everyone was alarmed. Powerful mental energy swept over in this direction. A top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. Rex, you possess a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. Dachman's eyes were brimming with shock, then brimming with enthusiasm. He said in an extremely explicit manner, "Rex, my 2 little granddaughters are 17 and 15 years old respectively, they're very beautiful. Tomorrow evening, you can come to our house as a guest, I think that you'll definitely have a wonderful night." Apart from secret methods, the most important thing for Blood Meridian warlocks was the concentration of blood meridians. Yang Feng, a Blood Meridian warlock with a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians, was definitely the stud horse that the entire Black Dragon Blood Meridian warlock clan yearned for even in their dreams. Chapter 90. Rains took a step forward and said somewhat discontentedly, "All right. Dachman, quickly go handle the formalities. Right, help Rex choose a good fief. Dachman said with a slight smile, yes. Your Highness. After 3 days, wait for His Majesty's confirmation, then all the formalities can be handled. As for the fief, I'll do my best to choose a good one for Rex. Hey, handsome, my name is Lisa, can you invite me for a drink? I know a bar, the alcohol inside is pretty good. Young Fong and Rains had just finished handling the formalities, when a great beauty with long blue hair, a sexy and well-developed figure, a height of 1.78 meters, and a mature style from head to toe, immediately walked towards young Fong with a touch of a fragrant wind and a smile. Lisa, get out of my way. This handsome guy is a man that I fancy. If you don't want to be beaten up by me, then get lost. A beautiful woman with short blue hair and wearing tight black clothes walked over and gave off a domineering aura. She had a tall and sexy figure, and she had regular facial features. When Lisa saw that gorgeous woman dressed in black tights, the radiance in her eyes changed several times. She finally clenched her teeth and retreated to one side, while casting pitiful glances at young Fong. Once that sexy and gorgeous woman appeared domineeringly, the few level 1 warlock beauties could only stop and cast flirtatious glances at young Fong. Lisa is a level 1 warlock from Black Dragon Lizard Blood Meridian family. Black dragon lizards are only a subspecies born from the mating of black dragons and black dragon lizards. Adult black dragon lizards are only level 3 warlocks. Black dragon lizard clans people will never be able to promote to great warlocks, nor will they ever be able to surpass the experts of our black dragon's blood meridians, therefore they're vassals of our black dragon's blood meridian warlocks. That's Randall, she's also a level 1 warlock with black dragon's blood meridians, one of the strongest women of the younger generation. When Rains spoke of Lisa, he was somewhat unconcerned, but when he spoke of Randall, there was a trace of graveness. Randall arrived before young Fong, carefully sizing him up, just like a pervert carefully observing whether a woman was a beauty or not. Before young Fong transmigrated, he was just an ordinary earthling waste. But after being implanted with the ancient black dragon Vedarnia's blood meridians and promoted to a level 1 warlock, his temperament and appearance underwent earth-shaking changes. Even before his transformation, he was already a rather handsome man. After he used the nano-transformation robot to transform into Lake, he was also a handsome Western man with an extraordinary temperament. After Randall carefully sized up young Fong, the corners of her mouth rose slightly and she invited enthusiastically, "Hey, handsome, I'm called Randall, I've taken a fancy to you. Come on, let's go for a drink, my treat." Warlocks with black dragon's blood meridians were basically all handsome men and beautiful women. If a beauty like Randall was placed on Earth, she would definitely be a campus belle. Such a sexy beauty taking the initiative to strike up a conversation with young Fong gave birth to a very novel feeling in his heart. He readily agreed to her request, "All right. My name is Drake." Rains coughed lightly and said, "Sigh, Randall, tonight there will be a celebration party to celebrate the addition of our Black Dragon Blood Meridian Warlock. We still have to make some preparations, so you can chat again tonight." Randall cursed in a low voice, then said with a charming smile towards young Fong, "Such a hateful convention. Handsome, see you tonight." Rains pulled young Fong and quickly left the palace. After leaving the palace, Rains said, "Randall, that woman is pretty good looking, but her private life is somewhat rotten, she keeps more than 20 noodles. If you don't mind, she's actually a pretty good playmate." Young Fong shrugged his shoulders and said, "Listening to you, I basically have no interest in her." With Yang Feng's current status, what woman couldn't he get? Solely in terms of temperament and beauty, Eunice and Shi Shui flung Randall by God knows how many streets. Even Judy only slightly lacked the charm of a mature woman compared to Randall. Rains said with a lascivious smile, "However, you don't have to be disappointed. With the density of your blood meridians, tonight there will be countless beauties courting you, desiring to obtain your life seeds." Yang Feng looked somewhat oddly at Rains and said, "Haven't you experienced such a thing?" Rains said extremely proudly, "Of course, although the density of my blood meridians isn't as good as yours, but it's still an intermediate-grade blood meridians. Those black dragon lizards, black dragon serpents and wyvern falcons, those women from vassal families, which one of them doesn't desire to obtain my life seeds? Once we have children, even if they don't have the noble black dragon's blood meridians, they can still increase the density of those inferior blood meridian families' blood meridians." With Rain's narration, only then did Yang Feng begin to understand the importance of the density of blood meridians for those blood meridian warlock families. For blood meridian warlocks with an intermediate grade concentration of black dragon's blood meridians like Rain's, promoting to a level 2 warlock was a matter of course. Only when promoting to a level 3 warlock would they encounter a bit of difficulty. If it was a blood meridian warlock with a superior concentration of black dragon's blood meridians, then promoting to a level 3 warlock would only be a matter of time. Only when promoting to a great warlock would they encounter a huge difficulty. Blood meridian warlocks with a concentration of top-notch black dragon's blood meridians wouldn't have any difficulty promoting to a level 3 warlock. Moreover, great warlocks would have more than a 30% chance. If it was a blood meridian warlock with a low concentration of black dragon's blood meridians, then they could only be guaranteed to promote to a level 1 warlock, then they would encounter an advancement bottleneck when attacking a level 2 warlock. As for blood meridian warlocks with a concentration of low-grade black dragon blood meridians and below, it would be very difficult for them to promote to an official warlock. Their success rate was only about 30% higher than that of an ordinary warlock. The higher the concentration of the blood meridians of the blood meridian warlocks, the higher the concentration of the blood meridians of their children. A blood meridian warlock with a first-rate concentration of black dragon's blood meridians would at least give birth to a blood meridian warlock with an intermediate concentration of black dragon's blood meridians, and it was even possible to give birth to a blood meridian warlock with a superior concentration of black dragon's blood meridians. The offspring of a warlock with black dragon's blood meridian and a black dragon lizard or a black dragon snake, which were inextricably linked to black dragons, might give birth to a noble black dragon blood meridian warlock. Even if it wasn't a black dragon blood meridian warlock, but the offspring would definitely be a blood meridian warlock with a relatively high concentration of blood meridians. The power of blood meridians was the origin power of a blood meridian warlock, as well as the foundation of a blood meridian warlock's inheritance. In order to maintain the power of blood meridians, many blood meridian warlock families intermarried very frequently. Even so, the blood meridians of those blood meridian warlocks still continued to become thinner with each passing generation. In order to obtain a formidable blood meridians, those blood meridian warlock families would spare no expense. One of the very important reasons why blood meridian warlock families such as black dragon lizard, black dragon snake and wyvern harpy would attach themselves to the black dragon empire was to obtain the life seeds of black dragon blood meridian warlocks, so as to ensure that those blood meridian warlock families wouldn't be eliminated from the world of warlocks due to the thinning of their blood meridians. Chapter 91. Nighttime, inside a luxurious palace. Yang Feng, dressed in formal attire, stepped into the palace and saw countless handsome men and beautiful women standing inside the palace. Practically all of those handsome men and beautiful women were shrouded in formidable life force, most of them were formidable level 1 warlocks, even the slightly weaker ones were level 3 apprentice warlocks or level 2 apprentice warlocks. Once Yang Feng entered the palace, the eyes of many beautiful women lit up and they walked towards him one after another. "Hello, Rex. My name is Aisha, can I have a dance with you?" A beautiful girl of about 18 or 19 years of age, with long brown hair, a sexy figure, dressed in a black evening dress, exuding a seductive charm, walked up to Yang Feng, smiled sweetly, and extended her lily-white hand, a fragrance wafting from her. "Hello, Rex. My name is Anna, please have a dance with me, okay?" A blonde beauty with a head full of long blonde hair, a sexy figure, dressed in a silver evening dress, a child's complexion and big breasts, arrived before young Feng with a sweet and pure smile on her face and extended her lily-white hand. "Hello, Rex." Inside the palace, the beautiful women practically scrambled to be the first to crowd around young Feng, competing with each other's attractiveness. Undercurrents surged as they fought over the right to invite young Feng for a dance. Young Feng looked at the scene before him with a smile, his heart brimming with excitement, feelings of novelty. The beautiful women surrounding young Feng were basically from black dragon lizards, black dragon serpents and other Blood Meridian warlock families affiliated with black dragon Blood Meridian families. Each of them had a gorgeous appearance and incomparably powerful strength. If it was on Earth, then they would be elites among elites. They absolutely wouldn't give an ordinary person like Yang Feng a glance. But now, they were scrambling to curry favor with him, thirsting to obtain his favor. This kind of feeling greatly satisfied the vanity of an ordinary person like Yang Feng. A great beauty with a head full of long scarlet hair, a height of 1.9 meters, a tall figure, curvaceous chest and butt, skin as white as jade, exuding a terrifying life force, a proud expression on her face, as if an aloof queen, directly stepped into the palace. As soon as the great beauty stepped into the palace, her terrifying life force attracted countless gazes. After seeing her true appearance, those gazes were filled with fear, and lust. The beautiful woman with long scarlet hair swept the beautiful women around young Feng with a glance, creased her eyebrows, and barked full of dignity, "You little fellows, get lost." When the beautiful women surrounding young Feng turned around and saw the great beauty with long scarlet hair, they bowed towards her as if avoiding snakes and scorpions, before unwillingly retreating to the side. The beautiful woman with long scarlet hair walked up to young Feng with a touch of fragrance, carefully sized him up for a moment, then revealed a trace of a satisfied and aloof smile. She frivolously extended her hand and hooked young Feng's chin. "Not bad, it's indeed a top-notch concentration of black dragon's blood meridians. Rex, from today onwards, you are my, Anusha's man." Young Feng suddenly had a feeling of reversing the roles of man and woman. He instinctively extended his hand and directly hid away Anusha's lily-white hand. Although he liked beautiful women, but deep in his bones was a strong male chauvinism. He wasn't willing to become a woman's plaything, no matter how beautiful she was. "Interesting little fellow. You actually dare to resist me, so interesting." Anusha gave a sweet smile. Her body at once released an extremely terrifying life force, that terrifying pressure comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock instantly erupted and enveloped Yang Feng's body. Under that terrifying pressure of a pinnacle level 3 warlock, Yang Feng's complexion changed greatly. He frantically operated the secret method recorded within Black Dragon Morph, withstanding Anusha's terrifying pressure with extreme difficulty. He clenched his teeth and tenaciously stood. "Enough, stop, Anusha, he's still not yours." At this moment, an ice-cold voice came from the side, a peerless beauty with a head full of long blue hair, eyes as clear as sapphires, a fiery and sensual figure, yet her entire body was shrouded in the temperament of an iceberg beauty. She walked over with large strides. An extremely formidable life force emitted from the peerless beauty's body, counteracting Anusha's terrifying pressure, giving Yang Feng a chance to catch his breath. Anusha turned around and said with a sneer, "Carol, do you want to snatch this man from me? You've always been blunt towards men, yet you've also started to have your heart stirred. Or perhaps, for the sake of Bonia family, you need a handsome and strong stallion with a high concentration of blood meridians." Carol's beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of anger. She said coldly, "Shut up. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind inviting you to the deathmatch arena to have a life and death duel." The deathmatch arena was a place specially prepared by Black Dragon Empire for the warlocks within the empire to have a life and death duel. Once irreconcilable enmity was sown between Black Dragon Empire's warlocks, then they would choose to have a duel in the deathmatch arena. If a duel was discovered in other places, then they would be strongly hunted down by Black Dragon Pagoda. That was because the destructive power of a duel between formidable warlocks was too terrifying. If those warlocks were allowed to duel carelessly, then no matter how many mortals there were, it wouldn't be enough for them to kill. Anusha said with a merry smile, I hit the nail on the head. Carol, you're living too tirelessly. Live more for yourself. I'm very fond of this handsome little stallion, but I'm not willing to have a life and death duel with you. As long as you're willing to pay a sufficient price, then I'll let you have him. This world is so big, there's no lack of handsome men, I'm not short of one. However, at the very least, you have to let him help me conceive a few children, this is my bottom line. Are you going to divide this handsome little stallion just like that? How about giving me a share? I'm not asking for much, as long as he lets me conceive 8 to 10 children, that's enough. A beautiful woman dressed in a purple evening dress, with a tall figure, short golden hair, a gorgeous appearance, and exuding a heroic temperament all over, also walked over with a merry smile, exuding a terrifying life force comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock. The terrifying life force released by the 3 pinnacle level 3 warlock women surged in the venue, everyone's complexion changed slightly and they quickly left the 3 women's sides. At the center of the terrifying life force, a wine cup suddenly came alive, it twisted and grew countless teeth, before strangely shattering. A tablecloth also suddenly twisted and grew 2 arms, before being crushed by the formidable force field. All kinds of strange phenomena continuously emerged, before being crushed by the terrifying life force of the 3 level 3 warlocks. Chapter 92. Anusha suddenly gave a slight smile and instigated, Angelica, Carol wants to monopolize this handsome little stallion, it would be better for us to join hands to defeat her and teach her a lesson. Then, how about equally dividing the usage rights of this little stallion? Let me use him first, then when you want to have children, I'll lend him to you. In any case, you don't want to have children right now. The corners of Angelica's mouth rose slightly and she said with a smile, good idea. Carol, what do you think? If you want to monopolize this little stallion, then I can only join hands with Anusha. After all, a little stallion with such a high concentration of blood meridians is rarely seen in 100 years. My requirements aren't high, when I want to have children, then let me use him. Yang Feng quietly listened from the side, he was somewhat speechless. Carol, Anusha and Angelica, the 3 women, each of them were very outstanding and had a strong aura. Even in Tyrannid subcontinent where experts were as common as clouds, they were still second only to great warlocks, their statuses were incomparably noble. Yang Feng would have been very happy with the 3 outstanding women fighting over him, but if he was only treated as a stallion, then even if they were beautiful women, he still wouldn't want to serve them. Yang Feng coughed lightly and said faintly, cough, you're discussing my usage rights in private, could it be that you don't want to ask the master's wishes? Anusha swept Yang Feng with a glance, her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of ridicule, your wishes? Little stallion, only after you promote to a level 3 warlock, then you'll have the qualifications to talk with us on equal footing. Of course, if you can promote to a great warlock, then having me be your slave isn't a problem. Even with top-notch Black Dragon's blood meridians, promoting to a great warlock still wasn't that simple. Promoting from a level 3 warlock to a great warlock, that was an enormous transformation and evolution of a life form. The disparity between a level 3 warlock and a great warlock was as huge as the disparity between a level 3 apprentice warlock and a level 2 warlock. In the entire Black Dragon Pagoda, there were merely 7 great warlocks. The 7 great warlocks were the foundation that Black Dragon Pagoda had accumulated over thousands of years. In that long period of time, Black Dragon Pagoda had produced more than 100 geniuses with top-notch Black Dragon's blood meridians. Of the 100 geniuses with top-notch Black Dragon's blood meridians, 8 died before maturing, 90 promoted to level 3 warlocks, and only 2 promoted to great warlocks. The difficulty of promoting to a great warlock could be imagined. Anusha and the other 2 women obviously only fancied the blood meridians within Yang Feng's body, they didn't have the slightest feelings towards Yang Feng, let alone love at first sight, only thinking about benefits. I think I still have the right to speak with you on equal terms. Yang Feng smiled faintly. With a thought, a black ray flew out of the dimensional crest he wore and landed on the ground. A 1.7 m tall mechanical dragon-scaled warrior, covered in a layer of ancient dragon scales, with sharp blades growing at all the major joints, appearing like a humanoid dragon, appeared beside Yang Feng. The mechanical dragon-scaled warrior's miniature super-high-energy crystal propulsion furnace was fully launched, a very strange yet terrifying life force comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock diffused from its body, contending against Anusha and the other 2 women, not falling into a disadvantageous position, firmly guarding Yang Feng. Anusha and the other 2 women looked at the mechanical dragon-scaled warrior, their beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of graveness. They could all sense the terrifying fluctuations of power emitted by the mechanical dragon-scaled warrior. It could completely contend against them. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, I found some small toys inside the relic where I obtained dragon blood essence. These small toys should be enough to make me qualified to speak with you on equal terms, right? So amazing, I really admire you. Rex, look, am I beautiful? Anusha gave a flirtatious smile, her whole body at once emitted traces of magic fluctuations. So beautiful. Yang Feng's eyes suddenly went blank, he only felt that the Anusha before him was extremely beautiful, her whole body was perfect, she was 100 times more beautiful than the lover of his dreams. The person he loved the most in his life was the goddess before him, he was willing to dedicate everything to her, even if he had to die for her, he also wouldn't hesitate. Seeing Yang Feng's infatuated appearance, the corners of Anusha's mouth rose slightly, her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of contempt. The host is being eroded by magic power. Immediately attack and eliminate the source of the magic power. The mechanical dragon-scaled warrior's eyes flashed with a red light, the miniature super-high-energy crystal propulsion furnace frantically operated, it suddenly shot up, its claw was like a thunderbolt as it grabbed at Anusha's heart. Anusha's complexion changed greatly, her body's life force surged, her whole body was instantly covered with a layer of black dragon scales, simultaneously formidable life force surged in front of her, condensing into an incomparably formidable protective cover capable of withstanding level 3 spells. The mechanical dragon-scaled warrior's claw stabbed at the protective cover, the claw that inherited part of the ancient black dragon Vedarnia's might instantly tore the protective cover apart, easily piercing through, fiercely stabbing at the location of Anusha's heart, it was blocked for a split second by the astonishing defensive strength of the black dragon scales. In that split second, Anusha's body instantly disintegrated into more than a dozen lumps of black mist, disappearing from where she stood. Those more than a dozen lumps of black mist quickly condensed at another location, forming Anusha's body. At the location of her heart, there was already a huge bloody wound, almost exposing her heart. After Anusha was repelled, traces of a cool stream of air were transmitted from the green bead on Yang Feng's neck, nourishing his soul and freeing him from Anusha's charm spell. After Yang Feng was freed from Anusha's charm spell, his eyes flashed with a whiff of fierceness. He flicked his fingers, a dragon-scaled warrior quickly flew out from his dimensional crest, extremely ferociously pouncing at Anusha. Simultaneously, a level 8 shield troop appeared in front of Yang Feng, raised its shield high and opened a level 3 protective cover, directly protecting Yang Feng. Under the protection of the level 3 protective cover, even a level 3 spell wouldn't so easily affect Yang Feng. It would also be very difficult for curses and charm-type spells to pass through the level 3 protective cover and affect Yang Feng. Stop, Rex. Anusha's pretty complexion changed, she issued a shriek, pointed with her finger and in a flash cast the level 3 spell Dragon Flame Fireball. A wash-basin-sized Dragon Flame Fireball compressed with high-energy fire elemental particles immediately whistled towards a dragon-scaled warrior, directly bombarding it. Dragon Flame Fireball, this level 3 spell, was one of the few spells with the strongest destructive power among level 3 spells. Even if a level 3 warlock was hit by it, they would also suffer heavy injuries. Such a level 3 spell could destroy a huge building. That dragon-scaled warrior extended its claw, its right hand erupted with a formidable life force, directly crushing the level 3 dragon flame fireball. The terrifying explosion merely jolted it back by 3 or 4 steps. Carol and Angelica, the two women, stood on one side, casting spells and directly blocking the aftermath of the level 3 dragon flame fireball's explosion. They saw the dragon-scaled warrior crush the dragon flame fireball with its claw. Their beautiful eyes also flashed with a touch of graveness. Level 3 dragon flame fireball, even if they were strong, they still wouldn't dare to use their bodies to resist, they could only use level 3 spells to offset or defend. Chapter 93. Another dragon-scaled mechanical warrior directly flew over to Anusha's back, ferociously pierced through Anusha's protective force field, kicked her body, and directly blasted her to the ground, spurting out a mouthful of blood. "Fuck, you golems, you've angered me." Anusha's figure shook and she at once flew up, her eyes surged with a terrifying fury and an incomparably formidable life force was released from her body. Once the terrifying life force of a pinnacle level 3 warlock was fully released, apart from official warlocks, everyone in the reception hall felt a burst of pressure and even a feeling of suffocation. Carol creased her eyebrows and said coldly, "Enough. Anusha, if you continue to be so impudent, I'll make my move." Angelica gave a slight smile and also walked over. "Anusha, don't make a fuss. Otherwise, I can only make my move against you." Yang Feng waved his hand and the two dragon-scaled mechanical warriors also swept over and returned in front of him, coldly staring at Anusha. Streams of powerful level 3 warlock rank spirit force swept over and locked onto Anusha. The advancement of Blood Meridian warlocks was by far much easier than that of Orthodox warlocks. The number of level 3 warlocks in Black Dragon Empire could be said to be the highest among the 6 great forces. Anusha's complexion changed several times, she finally restrained her aura and casually flicked her hand. A radiance shrouded her body. After the radiance disappeared, she changed into an evening dress and said with a merry smile, "Rex, little brother, all right, I admit that you have the qualifications to speak with us as equals." Anusha's eyes turned and locked onto that dragon-scaled mechanical warrior, her eyes flashed with a scorching glint. "That's right, I really like that alchemical golem of yours, how about selling one to your elder sister?" Anusha had personally experienced the might of that dragon-scaled mechanical warrior. If it was a one-on-one, she had the confidence to tear that dragon-scaled mechanical warrior to shreds, but if it was a one-on-two, then the outcome would be hard to predict. Such a formidable mechanical golem made her salivate. Carol, Angelica as well as all the members in the reception hall, their gazes fell on that dragon-scaled mechanical warrior, their eyes brimming with envy and greed. Such a dragon-scaled mechanical warrior could serve as the foundation of a warlock family, it could be passed down for hundreds or even thousands of years. Even a level 3 warlock with such a dragon-scaled mechanical warrior could greatly enhance their battle prowess and survivability. "I'm not selling this alchemical golem." Yang Feng shook his head slightly. The dragon-scaled mech warrior was a special biomechanical combat unit created from the scales of the ancient black dragon Vedania. After manufacturing the mechanical black dragon, Yang Feng only had 5 of them. Naturally, he would not easily attack such a powerful combat unit. The radiance in Anusha's eyes dimmed slightly, then she stared at Yang Feng, a touch of a dangerous radiance flashed past the abyss of her eyes. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a peculiar glint, and he said with a smile, "However, I can bet on it. Doesn't our Black Dragon Empire have a followers' gambling arena? If you, Anusha, can take out an item of equal value, we can carry out a gambling fight between 20 followers." This alchemy puppet was worth 50 million magic stones. You can use gold, ores, second and third tier spell matrices, scrolls, puppets, and other items of equal value to bet with me. If you win, this puppet will be yours. All right. Anusha pondered for a moment, then gave a sweet smile. She flipped her lily-white hand and a delicate crystal box appeared in her lily-white hand. The crystal box automatically opened, revealing a magic core engraved with mysterious magic patterns, approximately the size of an egg. Anusha said with a sweet smile, a magic core comparable to a great warlock rank extraordinary life form Sphinx direwolf with battle prowess, plus 15 iron ore veins with reserves of at least 30,000 tons, a barondom, this should be enough, right? The magic cores of great warlock rank extraordinary life forms were extremely valuable, but their value couldn't compare to that of a level 3 battle golem. After all, in Tyrannid subcontinent, there were still a lot of great warlock rank extraordinary life forms. Moreover, every year, there would be some magic cores of extraordinary life forms flowing over from the main continent. But that level 3 warlock rank battle golem was different, it had formidable battle prowess. It could become the heritage of a warlock family, it could also become the trump card of a level 3 warlock. Apart from some formidable warlock alchemists, there was basically no one capable of refining level 3 warlock rank battle golems. In Tyrannid subcontinent, Grandmaster alchemists with the highest level of alchemy could only refine level 2 warlock rank battle golems. Great warlocks could actually refine level 3 warlock rank avatars, but to refine those level 3 warlock rank battle golems, they would need to spend at least 70 million magic stones, or even more. Yang Feng said with a smile, it's enough. Although the value of the items offered by Anusha couldn't compare to Yang Feng's dragon-scaled mechanical warrior, but Yang Feng was very interested in that Sphinx direwolf's magic core. Only then did he not haggle over the price difference. A handsome young man with a head full of short golden hair, a tall and sturdy figure, an elegant bearing, and an overbearing aura exuding from between his eyebrows smiled as he walked up to Yang Feng's side. Rex, I'm also very interested in your other alchemical golem, let me join this wager. Rains cast a secret method and directly transmitted his voice, this is my second brother Johann, he has the cultivation base of a pinnacle level 2 warlock, he's also one of my greatest opponents in becoming the Emperor of Black Dragon Empire. You have to be careful. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, as long as you can come up with enough magic stones, then there won't be any problems. Johann said with a slight smile, I think that a marquisdom passed down from generation to generation with a population of 5 million people should be worth no less than 50 million magic stones. A marquisdom's territory was basically the size of 3 earldoms, it covered an area of approximately 1,500 square kilometers. It was equivalent to 3/10 of Steel City's area. Moreover, a marquisdom had a population of 5 million people, it was definitely an extremely wealthy marquisdom. If one was good at management, then every year the lord would be able to obtain more than 10,000 magic stones in various supplies from the territory. The reason why Steel City could only obtain 3,000 magic stones per year was because all of the ore veins in its territory had been completely digested by Steel City. Moreover, Yang Feng didn't carry out any operations within his sphere of influence, the 3,000 magic stones were merely the taxes obtained from taxes. Of course, the reason why the income was so low was also because the population within Steel City's sphere of influence had fled in large numbers, and the surrounding forces had imposed an economic blockade on it. Within their fiefs, aristocrats were equivalent to local tyrants, dictating the fates of 5 million people within their fiefs. Moreover, all of the ore veins within the fiefs belonged to the lord. Therefore, the value of the marquisdom that Johann took out for the wager was definitely not less than 50 million magic stones. Chapter 94. Yang Feng said with a smile, indeed, a marquisdom that can be passed down from generation to generation is worth no less than 50 million magic stones. Johann said towards Rains with a smile, Rains, my dear younger brother. How about we also take this opportunity to make a bet? Rains' eyebrows creased slightly, revealing a trace of awkwardness. Anusha's family, the Bonivia family, was a warlock noble family of Black Dragon Empire, with a heritage of more than 2,000 years. Although Anusha looked like a 25 or 26-year-old beautiful woman, but in fact, her age was already more than 500 years old. Although she was unable to break through and promote to a great warlock, but her strength was very few among level 3 warlocks. Her family's influence was even more formidable, the number of followers was in the thousands, there were even level 3 warlocks who were her subjects. Anusha, Carol and Angelica, these 3 women were the most outstanding geniuses of Black Dragon Empire's younger generation. If it wasn't for Black Dragon Empire's imperial throne being controlled by Anthony, then they would definitely be the most powerful contenders for the imperial throne. In the battle between Anusha and Yang Feng's followers, no matter how one looked at it, Yang Feng had no chance of winning. Yang Feng transmitted his voice, "Agree, use the elixirs I'll give you to make a bet. Win or lose, it's all on me. If you lose, then I'll give you another batch of the same elixirs." Rains gave a slight smile, provoking Johann, "I'll make a bet with you. I'll use 10,000 blue mirage, 10,000 mermaid tears and 10,000 dragon blood to make a bet with you. My dear elder brother, can you come up with that much money? Of course, as your younger brother, I can make some small concessions. You can use magic stones, gold coins, iron or veins, food, rare magic metals and warlock knowledge as payment." Johann's pupils constricted slightly, the smile on his face also faded slightly, his eyebrows creased, he pondered for a moment and then said with a light smile, "My dear younger brother, it seems like you've cultivated a group of pharmacists with good abilities. All right, I'll make a bet with you. If the payment isn't limited to magic stones, then I can still come up with that bit of money." Johann, as one of the successors to the Black Dragon Empire's imperial throne, not only did he possess great wealth, his mother's clan also possessed great influence. Furthermore, there was also a large group of warlock clans within Black Dragon Empire that attached themselves to him. That huge sum, if the means of payment weren't limited, then he could still come up with it. Angelica smiled flirtatiously and said, "Interesting, let me join too. Rake, I bet on Anusha. If she wins, you will help me give birth to 10 children. Until I give birth to 10 children, you are my property. If you win, I'll help you give birth to 10 children. How about that?" Yang Feng shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, "Sorry, this bet is too insincere. I can't accept it." Carol said coldly, "Angelica, I'll bet with you. I'm betting on Rex. If I lose, I'll give you my level 1 to level 3 spell models. If I win, you'll have to give me all the spell models you've mastered." Spell models were very valuable. Currently, Warlock College Antalia's highest-ranked spell model was also a level 1 spell model. Even a level 1 spell model would cost 8,000 magic stones. There wasn't even a single tier 2 spell model. Eunice had more than 10 level 2 spell models in her hands, and not a single level 3 spell model. That was because she still hadn't practiced cultivation until the realm of a level 2 warlock. Her clan naturally wouldn't provide her with level 3 spell models. Rains also only had level 2 spell models in his hands, and not a single level 3 spell model. A complete level 3 spell model in a warlock's large-scale auction could definitely be auctioned for more than 1 million magic stones. As a Blood Meridian warlock, Yang Feng would obtain an innate spell every time he promoted to a warlock's rank. For example, Black Dragon Scales was an innate spell that he automatically obtained. After he promoted to a level 3 warlock, he would also automatically obtain a level 3 innate spell. But if he relied solely on an innate spell, then his means of dealing with the enemy would be too weak, and he basically wouldn't be able to become the strongest expert of the same rank. The reason why warlocks could become the strongest experts of the same rank was because they had a lot of spells and a lot of means of dealing with the enemy. To deal with different enemies, one would have different trump cards. Carol and Angelica's bet on the level 1 to level 3 spell models that they had grasped was also a huge gamble. Angelica's eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar murderous aura. She said with a sweet smile, "Carol, since you're so confident in Rex, then I'll bet with you." The 5 people stood in the center of the banquet, a strange atmosphere pervaded the air, the surrounding people basically didn't dare to approach them. "His Majesty Solomon has arrived." Along with a resonant voice, a tall and sturdy, handsome young man dressed in a complicated and gorgeous imperial gown, with a formidable aura, under the protection of 4 young guards, directly stepped into the main hall. The young man, who appeared to be only 23 or 24 years old, was extraordinarily handsome and brimming with dignity, was Black Dragon Empire's Emperor Solomon. The lifespan of Blood Meridian warlocks by far exceeded that of Orthodox warlocks. Moreover, Blood Meridian warlocks generally looked relatively young. Black Dragon's Blood Meridians were top-notch Blood Meridians, therefore, even though Solomon was several hundred years old, he still looked to be only 23 or 24 years old. "We've seen your majesty." Everyone slightly bowed towards Solomon in salute. In Tyrannid subcontinent, the status of warlocks was extremely high. Even when facing the emperor, they only needed to slightly bow in salute. Only those who believed in gods or powerful beings from other planes, would kneel in salute, grovel in salute and such other manners to express their humbleness. Solomon came over, his eyes as sharp as a blade, sized up Yang Feng and said in a deep voice, "Your Rex." Yang Feng slightly bowed in salute, "We've seen your majesty." Solomon suddenly said with a smile, "I've just arrived and heard about your wager." "Very interesting. Let me be the witness of your wager. 5 days later, I'll open the royal gambling arena for you to wager. You should properly prepare for it. The wager will be a death match between 20 followers below level 3 warlock, how about it?" Yang Feng said with a smile, "No problem." Anusha also said with a sweet smile, "No problem." Level 3 warlocks were extremely important battle prowess and wealth for every force. Therefore, only level 2 warlock rank experts would be allowed to fight in a follower's wager. If it was a small principality like Fernandro Principality, if a level 2 warlock died, then the entire warlock clan's sky would practically collapse. Black Dragon Empire was the stronghold of Blood Meridian warlocks. The number of level 2 warlocks far exceeded that of the other 6 great forces. Even if 40 level 2 warlocks died, it still wouldn't affect Black Dragon Empire's vitality. This was the foundation of Tyrannid Subcontinent's number 1 empire. Chapter 95. After the banquet was over, a pretty young lady arrived before Yang Feng and said respectfully, "Rex Darren, my master Carol Darren invites you to come over." "All right." Yang Feng pondered for a moment, then followed behind the young lady. In a luxurious and exquisite room, ambergris incense, a precious incense capable of promoting a warlock's spirit force was lit. Carol was neatly sitting on a sofa, her pretty face was ice-cold, her whole body exuding the aura of an ice queen. Carol said coldly, "Anusha and Johann have a lot of followers, they're very strong. I can lend you 20 level 2 warlock rank followers." Yang Feng asked curiously, "Can you lend each other followers in such a gamble?" Carol said coldly, "As long as we win, any means can be used." The 3 of them will definitely join hands and pick the 20 strongest level 2 warlocks. With 20 first-rate level 2 warlocks joining hands, they can even contend against level 3 warlocks and even kill them. Yang Feng said with a smile, "I'm very grateful for your good intentions. However, I have the confidence to defeat them." Carol stared at Yang Feng for a moment, then clapped her hands. 10 beautiful maids exuding the formidable fluctuations of power of level 1 warlocks immediately walked in. Each maid was holding a thick stack of books in their hands. Carol said coldly, "These are the experience notes for promoting level 1 warlocks to level 2 warlocks, I'll give them to you. What materials do you need for cultivation? Make a list and give it to me." The experience notes for promoting level 1 warlocks to level 2 warlocks, each one was incomparably precious. Black Cottage also had the experience notes for promoting level 1 warlocks to level 2 warlocks. That note was Black Cottage's Master Bonnie's most precious treasure. Apart from him, none of his students were qualified to read it. Yang Feng felt somewhat odd. Yang Feng asked curiously, "Carol, could it be that you've fallen in love with me at first sight?" Although Carol's temperament was ice-cold, but she was indeed a rare iceberg beauty. Even among the beauties of Black Dragon Blood Meridian warlocks, she was still among the top. In tonight's banquet, there wasn't a single beauty that could compare to her in terms of appearance and temperament. Anusha and Angelica were also somewhat inferior to her. If such an iceberg beauty fell in love with Yang Feng at first sight, then it would greatly satisfy his little vanity. Carol thought for a moment, then seriously attacked Yang Feng. I just don't hate him. Carol said seriously, as the head of the Grimpt clan, I enjoy the support of the clan's resources. At the same time, I also have to fulfill the duty given to me by my family and give birth to a pure-blooded descendant. This was a duty that every member of a Blood Meridian warlock family had to fulfill. You have a top-grade black dragon bloodline, and I don't find you annoying, so you have the right to be my man. You can marry into the Grimpt family and become the father of my child. I'm still a virgin, so if you have mysophobia, there's no problem at all. Yang Feng shook his head slightly and said solemnly, I don't want to marry into the Grimpt family. I want you to marry me and become my woman. Carol's eyebrows creased slightly as she said, unless you're able to promote to a great warlock, otherwise, there's absolutely no possibility. Yang Feng said firmly, then I'll promote to a great warlock. It's not that easy to promote to a great warlock. If promoting from an apprentice warlock to a warlock is to surpass the limits of humans, then it's to take a step in the direction of extraordinary life forms. To promote from a level 3 warlock to a great warlock is to take a step in the direction of gods, ancient fiends, formidable ancient beings and other mighty beings. Great warlock rank experts are known as legend rank experts in many other planes, they're known as legends in many other planes, they're peerless experts who left their names in history. Our Black Dragon Pagoda has several thousand years of inheritance, but as far as I know, there are only 7 great warlock rank experts. Anusha and Angelica have already been stuck in the realm of pinnacle level 3 warlocks for 200 years. As far as I know, there are already more than 400 level 3 warlocks in Black Dragon Pagoda that have been stuck in this realm. Carol analyzed calmly. The warlock's path was getting more and more difficult. Promoting from an apprentice warlock to a warlock was a huge hurdle. And promoting from a level 3 warlock to a great warlock was even more incomparably difficult, it was like a natural moat. Even though Blood Meridian warlocks had greater advantages than orthodox warlocks, but to promote to a great warlock rank expert was still extremely difficult. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, even if it's more difficult. I'll also become a great warlock, after all, my goal is to obtain eternal life. Carol sighed faintly, eternal life. This is the ultimate goal that all of us warlocks pursue. Unfortunately, even if it was the 8 great warlock emperors, such astonishing and unparalleled figures, they still fell in the long river of time. The path to eternal life might not even exist. In the world of warlocks, each and every one of the 8 great warlock emperors were astonishing and unparalleled, formidable existences that suppressed countless planes. But the 8 great warlock emperors also fell in the long river of time, the warlock dynasties that they founded also collapsed one by one. The 8 great warlock emperors were publicly recognized as the most formidable existences in the world of warlocks, they were also the existences that walked the furthest on the warlock path. With their terrifying strength and endless knowledge, they still couldn't resist the erosion of time, and fell in the long river of time. Now that the 8th warlock dynasty had collapsed, the glory of warlocks was no more, wanting to obtain eternal life was nothing more than a pipe dream. Yang Feng gave a faint smile and didn't refute. Eternal life was only his ultimate goal, he also knew that this path wasn't that easy to tread. Yang Feng said, these experience notes are very important to me. I hope that I can pay magic stones or equivalent elixirs in exchange for them. At the same time, I also hope that I can use magic stones and equivalent elixirs in exchange for some level 2 spell models and level 3 spell models as well as all kinds of knowledge that warlocks need to practice cultivation. Carol said, I can give them to you. Yang Feng said earnestly, I hope to carry out the transaction through equivalent exchange. Because I don't want to take advantage of my good friend. Carol gave Yang Feng a somewhat strange look and said, are you sure? I'm sure. Carol snapped her fingers, mana. Yes. A sexy beauty dressed in maid attire, with long brown hair and the cultivation base of a level 1 warlock, stepped forward and said with a smile, "These are experience notes for level 1 warlocks promoting to level 2 warlocks. The auction price is 200,000 magic stones per copy. There are 100 copies here, the price is 20 million magic stones. A level 2 spell model, 800,000 magic stones. A level 3 spell model, 4 million magic stones." Yang Feng coughed lightly and said somewhat embarrassedly, "Can I buy on credit? I'll pay after the wager, I really don't have that many magic stones now." The corners of Carol's mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a charming smile. Chapter 96. Black Dragon Empire's Imperial Palace, within a study. Solomon was sitting upright on a golden chair, holding a book in his hand, casually flipping through it. Suddenly, Solomon said lightly, "Jim, have you investigated Rex's identity?" In a corner, the space slightly distorted, a middle-aged man dressed in black tight-fitting clothes, with a somewhat ugly appearance and a gloomy temperament, exuding the terrifying life force of a pinnacle level 3 warlock rank, appeared unhurriedly, before saying respectfully towards Solomon, "Your Majesty, the investigation has been carried out. Rex is a freedman of Black Dragon Empire's Moke City. After obtaining the inheritance of a rogue warlock by a fluke, he settled down in the obscure mountain range. After coming out of the obscure mountain range, he promoted to a level 1 warlock, possessing the Black Dragon's blood meridians." Solomon said indifferently, "Is the information reliable?" Jim said, "Reliable. You may withdraw." "Yes, Your Majesty." Jim's body immediately disintegrated into countless black mists, before disappearing from within the study. Time elapsed, 5 days passed in a blink. Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena was a huge arena that could accommodate 100,000 people. The huge Royal Grand Arena was usually used to carry out real-life and death betting matches. Ferocious beasts captured from all over, as well as some extraordinary life forms comparable to official warlocks, would be thrown into the Royal Grand Arena to fight with humans. The aristocrats of Black Dragon Empire would watch the bloody fights, while carrying out the betting matches. Every year, the huge Royal Colosseum brought the Black Dragon Empire a huge income. This is Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena, so imposing. As soon as Yang Feng entered Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena, he was fiercely shocked by the majestic arena. At this moment, the incomparably majestic arena was already filled with aristocrats belonging to Black Dragon Empire from all over the world. Black Dragon Empire's geographical area was 3 times that of Earth's China. It had gone through several millennia of inheritance. The number of aristocrats in Black Dragon Empire was astonishingly huge. The streets of the imperial capital were filled with aristocrats. A brick could be thrown and one could hit several aristocrats. At one end of the incomparably majestic Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena, there was a suspended dais built. On the suspended dais sat the ministers of Black Dragon Empire's major departments as well as aristocrats with Black Dragon's blood meridians. As an aristocratic warlock with Black Dragon blood meridian, Yang Feng followed the aristocratic warlocks with Black Dragon blood meridian to sit on the most distinguished dais, overlooking the many aristocrats below. Below Yang Feng and the other aristocratic warlocks with Black Dragon's blood meridians, there were aristocratic warlocks with Black Dragon Serpent's blood meridians, Black Dragon Lizard's blood meridians, and other affiliated Black Dragon's blood meridians. Led by a maid, Yang Feng arrived at the suspended dais. At a glance, he saw Carol, Anusha, and Angelica sitting among the 36 seats, second only to the Emperor. In the Black Dragon Empire, apart from the Black Dragon Tower's Tower Master Anthony's bloodline, there were also 36 powerful Black Dragon bloodline clans. Among the 36 Black Dragon blood meridian families, experts were as common as clouds and experts were as common as rain. Among them, level 3 warlocks weren't a small number, and there were even 3 Black Dragon blood meridian families that had once given birth to great warlock rank experts. They were the pillars of the Black Dragon Empire. Below the 36 seats were the seats belonging to the Black Dragon Empire's Grand Princes, Ministers, and Princes. Black Dragon Empire and Warlock College Antalya were different. The ministers of Black Dragon Empire's various departments were all official warlocks. Warlocks firmly controlled everything in the secular world. The entire Black Dragon Empire was under the control of warlocks. Warlock College Antalya's secular world was mostly managed by mortals. Warlocks were aloof, they carried out all kinds of research, sought the truth, and pursued the warlock path. Yang Feng's seat was a notch lower, it belonged to the bottommost part of the suspended dais. After Rains saw Yang Feng, he promptly greeted, "Rex, come sit next to me." An imperial princess originally sitting next to Rains immediately got up, threw Yang Feng a coquettish glance, then went down and sat in Yang Feng's seat. Yang Feng also calmly sat next to Rains. As soon as Yang Feng sat down, he felt a malicious gaze. He turned around and saw that Johann was looking in his direction. On the suspended dais filled with dignitaries and ministers, Johann didn't do anything unwise, he only slightly revealed a gentlemanly smile towards Yang Feng. Yang Feng also responded with a hypocritical smile. His Majesty Solomon has arrived. Under the protection of 6 experts emitting fluctuations of level 3 warlock rank life force, Solomon slowly stepped onto the suspended dais. "Greetings, Your Majesty." Everyone in the royal grand arena stood up and slightly bowed towards Solomon in salute. Solomon gave a slight smile, then went to the golden throne at the top of the suspended dais and sat down, saying lightly, "Sit down." Solomon did not speak very loudly, but his voice seemed to ring in everyone's ears. Everyone in the royal grand arena then sat down. Solomon said lightly, "Begin the notarization." Carol waved her hand, and a maid came forward with a stack of documents that had been prepared long ago. Everyone involved in the bet sent people to take out the prepared documents and all kinds of treasures to publicly carry out the notarization. In fact, those documents and treasures had already been notarized beforehand, this time was only a formality in front of Solomon. After quickly carrying out the notarization, the notaries quickly retreated. Solomon said lightly, "Begin." In the Black Dragon Royal Grand Arena, 2 doors opened on both sides. 2 follower squads of 20 people respectively belonging to Anusha and Yang Feng came out from the 2 doors one by one. A presenter walked to the center of the Black Dragon Royal Grand Arena and said in high spirits, "Today, the 2 squads standing here are respectively the followers of Duke Anusha and Earl Rex. They will carry out a life and death duel on the Dragon Battle Isle. This is a huge wager with a value of more than 100 million magic stones. This wager is definitely the most brilliant wager in the last 10 years. Here, we, the Royal Grand Arena, have also opened a betting area for this exciting battle. The odds for Duke Anusha's team to win are 1-1. 1. The odds for Earl Rex's team to win are 1-1. 3. The odds for Earl Rex's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Duke Anusha's team to survive are 1-4. The odds for Earl Rex's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Duke Anusha's team to survive are 1-3. The odds for Earl Rex's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Duke Anusha's team to survive are 1-2. The odds for Duke Anusha's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Earl Rex's team to survive are 120. The odds for Duke Anusha's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Earl Rex's team to survive are 110. The odds for Duke Anusha's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Earl Rex's team to survive are 1-4. In that case, ladies and gentlemen, pick up the betting devices in your hands and start placing your bets. Let us enjoy a crazy, wonderful, a rare joy of a wager fight. Chapter 97. The atmosphere of the entire Black Dragon Royal Grand Arena was stirred up by the presenter's words. Waves of spiritual energy unscrupulously scanned the 2 teams of followers below. Among the 100,000 aristocrats in the Black Dragon Grand Arena, nearly 10,000 of them possessed the cultivation base of an official warlock. This was the foundation of Tyrannid Subcontinent's #1 empire, the Black Dragon Empire. The presenter casually cast a spell, rays of light flickered in the center of the Royal Grand Arena and directly condensed into a light screen. The light screen displayed the amount of bets placed on the various bets. Among them, the bets for Anusha's team's victory were the highest, surpassing 60 million magic stones. Next was the total annihilation of Rex's team. The amount of bets followed closely behind. The bets for Rex's team's victory were few and far between. It was obvious that no one was optimistic about Rex's team. Anusha was one of the Black Dragon Empire's 36 great Black Dragon Blood Meridian family's patriarchs. She was a powerful existence of a pinnacle level, 3 warlock. Coupled with her family's incomparably huge influence, she could casually pick out countless experts from within her family. Black Dragon Empire's aristocrats weren't fools. They naturally wouldn't waste magic stones to bet on a newcomer like Rex. Young Feng looked at the huge odds and was somewhat envious. What a pity, if I had enough magic stones, then I would be able to make a good profit. After the increase in the bets became very slow, only then did the venue's presenter said with a slight smile, "All right, the bets are now over. This life and death gambling battle that is rarely seen in 10 years, officially begins." Finished speaking, the presenter silently recited an incantation and casually pointed. A magnificent light flickered in the center of the Royal Grand Arena, shrouding the 40 followers in the venue. A huge door appeared in the center of the Royal Grand Arena. The huge door opened and turned into a huge black hole, directly swallowing the 40 followers. A huge light screen suddenly formed in the center of the Royal Grand Arena, and the entire picture of an island was displayed on the huge light screen. "Put this on. I'm sure there'll be a pleasant surprise." Rains gave Yang Feng a mysterious smile and handed him a pair of crystal glasses. Yang Feng put on the pair of crystal glasses and looked at the huge screen. He saw that the huge light screen was very strangely divided into 41 screens. The centermost screen displayed the panoramic view of the Dragon Battle Island. The other 40 screens showed the locations of the 40 soldiers. Yang Feng's mind moved, the screen continuously changed, before quickly changing to the screen of the warrior he wanted to chase and zooming in before his eyes. High-tech. Truly high-end. Yang Feng's heart shook, and he gained a deeper understanding of the warlock civilization. In Tyrannid Subcontinent, many places were as poor and backward as medieval Europe. However, the worlds where the warlocks at the top of the world resided were extremely prosperous. They weren't the slightest bit inferior to modern Earth, and in some areas, they even surpassed Earth's level by far. Dragon Battle Island was a long and narrow island with a circumference of about 300 kilometers. It was almost the size of a viscount's territory. The Dragon Battle Island was densely forested and the terrain was complex. It was the best place for actual combat. Every year on the Dragon Battle Island, there would be more than a dozen extremely bloody fights between warlocks and followers. Those fights were also the most exciting and the most splendid matches. Once Anusha's group appeared on the Dragon Battle Island, a warlock silently recited an incantation. The magic staff in his hand suddenly blossomed with green radiance and enveloped his teammates. Under the illumination of the green magic radiance, the entire group of followers directly changed into grotesque trees. From the big screen, it seemed as if the members of Anusha's group had disappeared into the jungle. Only by adjusting the special glasses into a special field of view, could one see the true faces of the members of Anusha's group. From time to time, those grotesque trees blossomed with magical radiances, casting one spell after another on themselves. The presenter said with extreme passion, "That's the level, one spell plant illusion. Divination disruption. Spirit scan shielding. Brute force. Light spirit. Detection spell disruption. Heavens, a total of 21 spells. So outstanding. This is Anusha's group. A perfect pre-battle spell blessing. Let us cheer for the perfect performance of the followers of Anusha's group. Kill him. Tear the trashes of Rex's group to shreds. I bet on you to win, exterminate them for me. Above the Black Dragon Empire's royal grand arena, countless aristocrats issued crazy roars. The sound waves formed by those terrifying roars seemed as if they wanted to overturn the royal grand arena. Practically 95% of the Black Dragon Empire's aristocrats supported Anusha, because they had placed heavy bets on Anusha's group. After Anusha's group finished releasing the blessing spell, the figure of a tall and sturdy man with an ugly appearance suddenly distorted, transforming into a level 2 extraordinary life-form steel-feathered demonic eagle. It flapped its wings and soared into the sky, flying high into the sky. The presenter said somewhat exaggeratedly, "That's the level 2 spell extraordinary life-form morphing. He's a druid. Heavens, this warrior of Anusha's group is a rare druid. This is a very rare cultivation method, although it can't compare to us warlocks, but it has its own unique insight in the aspect of extraordinary life-form morphing. 500 years ago, after the last druid sect was exterminated by Savage Claw, traces of druids have rarely been seen in our continent. Duchess Anusha was actually able to recruit a druid to work for her. Let us cheer for her charisma. Duchess Anusha. Duchess Anusha, you're the best, go to hell Rex." Bursts of cheers once again erupted in the royal grand arena. Anusha was a top beauty, moreover, she was a powerful existence of a pinnacle level 3 warlock, one of the Black Dragon Empire's 36 great families' patriarchs. Her popularity wasn't something that a nobody like Yang Feng could compare to. In Tyrannid subcontinent, there were also a few inheritances of wizards, arcanists, druids, priests and so on. However, in this world dominated by warlocks, once the inheritances of those different planes appeared, without anyone's protection, they could only be annihilated, and then all the knowledge would be plundered by the warlocks and integrated into their own system. Druids, wizards, arcanists, these existences basically didn't dare to carelessly expose their whereabouts. Once exposed, then they would be directly captured by warlocks, plundered of everything and then carried out human experiments. For Anusha to be able to recruit a druid to work for her was already very remarkable. Chapter 98. On the other side, as soon as Yang Feng's group's followers entered the Dragon Battle Isle, the 10 level 2 warlock rank reinforcements cast one spell after another, directly blessing all the members of the group. The other 10 were great knights with control chips implanted in them by Yang Feng. The 10 great knights were purchased by Eunice through the slave market. In Tyrannid subcontinent, apart from the relative stability of the 6 great warlock groups, the rest of the areas were similarly in constant disputes. The old and new warlock groups were also fighting ceaselessly for their own benefits. The 10 great knights were the slaves from the defeated forces. The 10 great knights pressed the dimensional crests they wore on their chests. Tanks, self-propelled artillery, and anti-aircraft artillery continuously flew out from the dimensional crests and landed on the ground. The Grand Arena's presenter used exaggerated body language to express his astonishment. Magic artillery? Magic chariots? The warriors of Rex's group gave us a huge surprise. They took out a lot of war weapons that I've never seen before. This made my explanation a lot more difficult. However, I think that we'll soon be able to see the use of these war weapons. What are those? What are those things? New alchemical products? On the suspended dais, the eyes of the Black Dragon Empire's top bigwigs also revealed traces of curiosity. They had only seen magic artillery. As for tanks, self-propelled artillery, anti-aircraft artillery and other war weapons, they had never seen them before. Anusha saw the tanks, self-propelled artillery and anti-aircraft artillery, a trace of an ominous premonition welled up within her. Angelica's eyebrows also creased slightly, this had already somewhat exceeded her calculations. This made her somewhat uneasy. Johann also creased his eyebrows tightly, his hands were intertwined, his gaze shifted and fell on Yang Feng. Carol was somewhat curious as she looked at those modern war weapons. Interesting. The corners of Solomon's mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile in the depths of his eyes. Solomon was the emperor of the Black Dragon Empire. He held great power. In Tyrannid's subcontinent, apart from the domain of great warlocks, there was practically nothing that he hadn't seen. The tanks, self-propelled artillery, anti-aircraft artillery, and other Earth's war weapons, in his eyes, were nothing more than some rather interesting gadgets. As soon as the weapons flew out of the dimensional badges of the 10 Grand Knights, they automatically moved and formed one formation after another. Anusha's group's great druid turned into an steel-feathered demonic eagle and flew into the sky, relying on the steel-feathered demonic eagle's super long-range vision as well as the steel-feathered demonic eagle's extraordinary innate ability to see through a variety of concealment and illusions. He searched around and very quickly locked onto the location of Yang Feng's group's members. Shortly after, the druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle faced upwards and issued a sharp and long cry. It flapped its wings and pitch-black feathers shrouded by wind force formed an arrowhead, pointing straight at Yang Feng's group. For an army of 40 mortals, it might take them a day or two to find the enemy. But for warlocks with strange means, it was very easy to find the enemy. They just needed to learn the corresponding spell to find the enemy. The great druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle. Even among level 2 warlocks, his ability to locate enemies was still a first-class existence. Fire. At this time, a great knight, who was cast with a super long-range spell, discovered the steel-feathered demonic eagle and ordered coldly. Within the anti-aircraft formation, the anti-aircraft cannons rumbled, countless flares rose and formed a rain of light, directly bombarding the steel-feathered demonic eagle in the sky. Not knowing what spell was attached to the crystal glasses, Yang Feng could clearly hear the rumbling sounds of the cannons, as if he was there. Under the bombardment of the countless cannons, the druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle flapped its wings and directly rose into the sky. Its speed also soared to the extreme, shuttling back and forth amidst the rain of light. The speed of the steel-feathered demonic eagle was extremely fast. Only 2 rounds of the anti-air cannons landed on its body, which then brushed past its feathers that were harder than steel and contained a powerful life force field. Thus, they were unable to harm its body. Yang Feng felt a slight shiver within. Amazing. Truly worthy of being called an extraordinary life form. Truly too abnormal. The caliber of the anti-aircraft cannons was 37 mm. Such an anti-aircraft cannons could easily pierce through the thick steel plates of an assault helicopter. If a human was bombarded by an anti-aircraft cannons, then they would definitely be torn apart. If an elephant was directly hit by such an anti-aircraft cannons, then it would definitely be killed. The steel-feathered demonic eagle could easily block the anti-aircraft cannons. Its defensive power completely exceeded the strength of any known life form on Earth. However, the barrage formed by the cannons clearly had the ability to threaten the steel-feathered demonic eagle's life. The druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle only flew far away in the sky, not daring to approach the anti-aircraft formation. At this time, within the anti-aircraft formation, the missile launchers flickered with flares. Surface-to-air laser-guided missiles were directly fired, madly bombarding the steel-feathered demonic eagle in the sky. The druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle felt that things were far from good. It continuously spun in the sky, flew and made all kinds of outrageous movements, attempting to shake off the surface-to-air laser-guided missiles. But no matter how it flew, it was unable to shake off the lock-on of the surface-to-air laser-guided missiles. Boom! 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 The surface-to-air laser-guided missiles bombarded the body of the steel-feathered devil eagle, exploding crazily. The steel-feathered demonic eagle's feathers scattered and blood splashed everywhere. The great druid in the form of an steel-winged demonic eagle forcibly blocked the bombardment of more than a dozen surface-to-air laser-guided missiles. In the end, its strength was exhausted, and it was directly blown into pieces by the missiles, turning into countless fragments that fell from the sky. So amazing! It can even get rid of the steel-feathered demonic eagle, so amazing! That's an extraordinary life form comparable to a level 2 warlock. The steel-feathered demonic eagle is a bird-type extraordinary life form, its innate skill is steel feathers. The defensive strength of its feathers is even more tyrannical than that of steel. Moreover, as long as it wholeheartedly wants to escape while flying in the sky, then there aren't many level 2 warlocks that can kill it. The weapons of Rex's group are really too formidable. In the Royal Grand Colosseum, all the nobles were shocked by this scene, and they were all discussing it. Although the extraordinary life form steel-feathered demonic eagle wasn't a match for a level 2 warlock, but it was still one of the most difficult level 2 extraordinary life forms to kill. Even some level 3 warlocks didn't have any good means to kill such an extraordinary life form flying in the sky and possessing formidable resistance. Such an extraordinary life form was actually forcibly shot down by Rex's group. Those aristocrats of Black Dragon Empire didn't dare to believe it. Chapter 99. Solomon revealed a trace of a smile of interest. Interesting. Level 2 extraordinary life forms like the steel-feathered demonic eagle, in front of Solomon who possessed the terrifying power of a pinnacle level 3 warlock, it was only a pet-like existence. However, he was still somewhat surprised that the surface-to-air laser-guided missile could easily get rid of the steel-feathered demonic eagle. After all, level 2 extraordinary life forms were already considered to be very formidable existences. Apart from some alchemy products of peak warlock alchemists, ordinary weapons of war were basically unable to pose a threat to level 2 extraordinary life forms. It's just a fluke, as long as our people get close to them, then those weapons of war are all trash. Anusha's eyebrows creased at once, traces of an unknown premonition welled up within her, and she continuously comforted herself inside. Those tanks, self-propelled artillery, and other weapons of war would be reduced to scrap metal once warlocks got close to them. It was precisely because warlocks were so formidable that in this world of warlocks, weapons of war would seem to be somewhat in decline. Extremely strange eyeballs rose from above Yang Feng's group, peeping in all directions. Those extremely strange eyeballs were the level 1 spell mage's eyes. Through the mage's eyes, warlocks could clearly see the situation within a radius of more than a dozen li. The mage's eyes had an extremely long range, but it didn't have the ability to see through illusions. The experts in Anusha's group, under the effect of the plant transmogrification spell, quickly moved towards Yang Feng's group. Under the circumstances where the experts in Anusha's group weren't paying attention, the 2-meter-tall bear-like man who was walking at the forefront kicked an infrared ray. The self-propelled artillery, 155 mm caliber heavy howitzers and multiple rocket launchers instantly adjusted their muzzles. Boom! 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 The terrifying shellfire in a split second completely engulfed the members of Anusha's group. The terrifying explosions plowed their location over and over again. Under the bombardment of the shellfire, the members of Anusha's group basically didn't have the space to dodge, they could only desperately cast spells to resist the bombardment of the shellfire. An enormous earth wall rose from the ground, and then directly crumbled under the bombardment of the shellfire. Protective force fields suddenly appeared, and then were smashed to pieces by the shockwaves from the explosions of the artillery shells. Huge extraordinary tree iron rattan trees suddenly rose from the ground. Countless rattans interweaved to form an iron rattan wall, blocking above Anusha's squad members. Not long after the iron rattan wall was formed, a dozen rockets bombarded the iron rattan tree and exploded, blasting it into pieces. Charge with me. Charge over and tear them to shreds. The bear-like man roared furiously, his eyes shot with blood, his body swelled up by a size. With a huge secret treasure shield in hand, he roared wildly like a savage and stimulated the power of the secret treasure shield. A formidable defensive force field erupted from his body and forcibly blocked one artillery shell after another. At the same time, he rushed towards Yang Feng's team. Anusha's group's experts followed behind that bear-like man and galloped towards Yang Feng's group's location. Simultaneously, protective magic force fields continuously blessed that bear-like level 2 warlock. The bear-like level 2 warlock was only able to advance less than 200 meters amidst the earth-shattering shellfire before his protective force field completely collapsed. He was also directly hit by a cannonball and exploded into pieces. Once the level 2 warlock with the strongest defensive power was killed, the complexions of the experts in Anusha's group immediately changed greatly. 6 experts madly rushed towards Yang Feng's group's location, while the remaining 12 experts from Anusha's group cast spells and fled towards the rear. Boom! 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 Self-propelled artilleries, heavy howitzers and rocket launchers formed a net of artillery fire that poured countless shellfire, plowing the area where the 6 level 2 warlocks were located inside and outside. The 6 level 2 warlocks who rushed forward barely lasted for less than 30 seconds before they were torn to shreds by the concentrated shellfire. The 12 powerhouses of Anusha's squad, who saw the opportunity early, escaped from the shell-covered position by relying on strange spells. After the 12 experts from Anusha's group escaped from the infrared sensor's range of detection, the practically earth-shattering shellfire at once completely stopped. Without sensing the target, randomly firing would only be a waste of shellfire. Amazing! Really amazing! These weapons of war are really terrifying. Too fierce. Really too fierce. All the aristocrats in the Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena inhaled a mouthful of cold air, their eyes brimming with shock. Many aristocrats' eyes brimmed with excitement. Black Dragon Empire had been peaceful for more than a millennium, such a world-shaking battle was very rare. However, the majority of Blood Meridian warlocks had fierce and combative blood flowing within them. Even female warlocks were far more combative than ordinary people. Therefore, not only were these aristocrats not frightened by the battle, but they instead felt it to be very interesting and extremely excited. Even many female aristocrats were no exception. When Anusha, Johann and Angelica saw this scene, their complexions at once became extremely unsightly. Rains heaved a long sigh of relief, his face revealing a trace of a smile. The corners of Carol's mouth rose slightly, a trace of a smile flashing past the depths of her beautiful eyes. On the Dragon Battle Isle, after the 12 experts from Anusha's group escaped from the shellfire's range, like birds startled by the mere twang of a bow, they hid here and there for a good while. After discovering that the earth-shattering shellfire didn't descend again, they heaved a slight sigh of relief, before converging in a secluded grove. A tall, handsome and seemingly very capable man said with a gloomy face, "It seems like we have to use our final method. Vino, it's up to you." A slim middle-aged man silently nodded, silently recited an incantation, with a flip of his hand, a palm-sized silver-white door at once blossomed with silvery light, rising in the wind and turning into a silver-white door up to 20 m tall and 6 m wide. There were 108 grooves on the silver-white door. The middle-aged man somewhat painfully fished out 36 superior magic stones as well as 72 intermediate magic stones and at once embedded them into the 108 grooves. Simultaneously, he silently recited an incantation and pointed at the silver-white door. A silvery magic radiance shot out from the middle-aged man's hand and fell on the silver-white door. The silver-white door immediately blossomed with incomparably resplendent silvery radiance, the space inside the door also distorted, setting off waves of ripples. Chapter 100. An up to 4 m tall, up to 100 m long level, 2 extraordinary life-form giant fire rock centipede covered in a layer of flame-like red carapace quickly crawled out of the silver-white door. The silver-white door flashed with ripples, an up to 10 m tall level, 2 extraordinary life-form 4-armed green jade mantis with 4 blade-like arms and a green body flew out. The silver-white door rippled continuously, one after another. Level 1 and level 2 extraordinary life-forms continuously crawled out of the silver-white door. The presenter's eyes lit up and he said loudly, "Warlock Summoner. That's a Warlock Summoner. So amazing, Anusha's group is truly a crouching tiger and hidden dragon. There's even a Warlock Summoner. As long as Warlock Summoners are given enough time and resources, then they themselves are a terrifying army. However, warlock summoners require too many resources, their cultivation is too difficult and they're already very rare nowadays. Anusha's group actually still has a warlock summoner, that's simply too astonishing. Warlock summoner. This time Rex's group is finished. Truly worthy of being Duchess Anusha, to even be able to recruit a warlock summoner. So wonderful, I can't wait to see Rex's group, to see the appearance of a large group of extraordinary life forms. Once the warlock summoner appeared, the atmosphere in the Black Dragon Empire's royal grand arena at once became enthusiastic. All the aristocrats at once became excited, they were full of expectations for Anusha's group's victory. Warlock summoners were also one of the many evolutionary paths of warlocks, they mainly focused on the law of summoning, their main research direction was to summon formidable extraordinary life forms from other planes, as well as devils, fiends and other such formidable existences to descend into this world and fight for them. Warlock summoners needed to consume a lot of precious materials to arrange a summoning array. Moreover, when summoning formidable existences from other planes, the slightest bit of carelessness would result in a backlash. Therefore, although warlock summoners were formidable, but they also slowly declined, very few people specialized in this path. Of course, the number of warlock summoners that researched summoning techniques was also not small, but they weren't genuine professional warlock summoners. Yang Feng suddenly stared at Anusha and said, "Duchess Anusha, the number of extraordinary life forms summoned by that summoner exceeded 20. It exceeded the limits of this fight." Anusha said with a charming smile, "That warlock summoner is indeed a level 2 warlock. A warlock summoner's skill lies in summoning techniques. The extraordinary life forms that he summons can naturally be counted as a part of his battle prowess. It's completely within the limits of this battle." John smiled proudly and said, "That's right, summoned creatures are part of the summoner's strength, and warlocks are such existences. Laker, don't tell me you don't even know this common sense." Angelica smiled sweetly and said, "It's no wonder. After all, Laker, you didn't have the system's knowledge before. Come to me, I will definitely systematically educate you and make you an outstanding warlock." Yang Feng smiled faintly, turned his head and put on his glasses. Without saying a word, he ordered coldly in his heart, "Start Plan B." On the Dragon Battle Isle, Great Knight rank experts touched the dimensional crests on their chests. Level 8 mechanical gunner troops equipped with all kinds of heavy firepower and Level 8 beast-type mechanical bladed troops equipped with 8 high-frequency oscillation blades appeared on the Dragon Battle Isle. Anusha saw those Level 8 primary battle robots and a trace of an ominous premonition welled up within her. Her pretty complexion changed and she said in a tender voice, "Laker, what's that? So many golems already exceeded the limit of 20 people." Johan's complexion also at once became somewhat pale, unsightly to the extreme, his body also trembled slightly due to anger. He stared fixedly at Yang Feng, as if wanting to tear him to shreds. Angelica also stared fixedly at Yang Feng with an ice-cold gaze. Yang Feng smiled slightly, his eyes flashed with a whiff of ridicule as he said, "Duchess Anusha, summoned creatures are part of a warlock summoner's strength. Golems are naturally also part of a warlock alchemist's strength. Those golems are naturally the golems refined by warlock alchemists, they belong to my followers and are naturally also a part of my followers' strength, just like a variety of secret treasures, aren't they?" Anusha's pretty complexion changed, her eyes flashed with a whiff of gloominess, she snorted coldly and remained silent. In front of Solomon and the many ministers of the Black Dragon Empire, Anusha couldn't lose her poise. One after another, extraordinary life forms came out of the silver-colored summoning gate. A total of 36 level 2 extraordinary life forms and 72 level 1 extraordinary life forms came out. Anusha's group of warlocks quickly blessed the 108 extraordinary life forms with all kinds of buff spells. After the 108 extraordinary life forms received the buff spells, their strength suddenly increased by more than double. After the warlock summoner summoned the 108 extraordinary life forms in one breath, He quickly swallowed quite a few vials of elixirs and then pointed towards Yang Feng's group. Shortly after, the 108 extraordinary life forms with different racial abilities quickly rushed towards Yang Feng's group. Boom! 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 As soon as the extraordinary life forms came into contact with the infrared sensors in the forest, the artillery immediately fired, and countless artillery fire rained down on the extraordinary life forms. Under that dense shellfire, one after another, the extraordinary life forms were blasted to pieces. The warlock summoner sensed that his summoned extraordinary life forms were killed one by one. He had a splitting headache and spouted blood repeatedly. Those extraordinary life forms summoned by the warlock summoner all had a trace of a soul link with the warlock summoner. It didn't matter if one or two died, but if all of them were killed, then he would be crippled. Yang Feng watched as the warlock summoner's extraordinary life forms were smashed one by one under the shellfire. He said with a faint smile, "Really too weak. You don't even have the ability to force my followers' mechanical golem guards to act, really too weak." Anusha, Johann and Angelica's complexions became even more unsightly when they heard that. Beautifully done. Blast them to pieces. Ha! Rex's group, beautifully done. I support you. Blast them to pieces. The majority of the aristocrats in the Royal Grand Arena had ashen complexions. They remained silent. The aristocrats who had casually bet on Rex's group's victory became excited as if they were injected with chicken blood. They shouted loudly. "There's no other way. Now we can only start the final plan." In Anusha's group, a level 2 warlock covered in a layer of black armor said coldly. The warlock summoner's heart trembled slightly. He silently recited an incantation and then pointed towards the silver-white door. Strange ripples diffused from within the silver-white door. The extraordinary life forms summoned by the warlock summoner swiftly returned from the front and quickly gathered in front of the silver-white door. Chapter 101. The warlock summoner hesitated for a moment. His eyes flashed with a touch of a ruthless glint. He spat out a mouthful of blood essence and sprinkled it on the silver-white door. At the same time, he took out a blood-colored gem and directly threw it inside the silver-white door. Strange ripples were set off inside the silver-white door. The warlock summoner silently recited an incantation and pointed at the silver-white door. The silver-white door at once emitted silver rays of light and entered the bodies of the summoned extraordinary life forms. The heads of the extraordinary life forms that the warlock summoner had spent more than 100 years to collect were immediately blasted apart. Their vitality was extracted and entered the silver-white door. Shit! Yang Feng's complexion changed slightly when he saw this scene. His mind moved and he ordered the great knights inside the dragon battle isle, immediately attack. A great knight pressed the dimensional crest on his chest. An enormous metal chest immediately flew out from the dimensional crest. 2 finger-sized cylindrical infrared life detectors were instantly ejected from the enormous metal chest and shot towards the location of Anusha's group. Once the infrared life detectors landed on the ground, infrared rays invisible to the naked eye immediately interweaved and formed a large infrared net, completely grasping the life fluctuations of all the large life forms within the net. Boom! 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 The artillery troops quickly adjusted their muzzles. Countless artillery fires fell with extreme precision on the location of the silver-white door. As long as the silver-white door was destroyed, then the warlock summoner would be screwed. Withstand it. The complexion of the warlock summoner, shrouded in a layer of black armor, as if he was the captain of the group, changed greatly and roared loudly. Magic rays of light flashed. An enormous tortoise-shell ice shield suddenly appeared above the silver-white door. More than a dozen large-caliber artillery shells bombarded the tortoise-shell ice shield. The terrifying explosions directly smashed the tortoise-shell ice shield into pieces. The tortoise-shell ice shield had just been smashed, when an enormous earth wall once again condensed and formed above the silver-white door. The enormous earth wall also didn't last more than 3 seconds before it was immediately smashed to pieces. One after another, defensive spells were quickly formed and then completely smashed under the fierce artillery fire. Under the desperate defense of Anusha's group of warlocks, they forcibly withstood the terrifying shellfire that blotted out the sky and displayed inhumanly terrifying defensive strength. Just then, a series of ripples appeared in the silver door, and a 10-meter-tall monster with 4 arms and a terrifying life force walked out. It seemed to be covered in a layer of bronze armor, and it had a ferocious appearance. When the host saw the monster walk out of the silver door, he immediately loudly explained, "This is an extraordinary creature, the 4-armed giant demon of the multi-armed giant demon race. An adult 4-armed giant demon has the terrifying power of a peak level 3 extraordinary creature." This was a rank 3 transcendent creature. This summoner was truly amazing to be able to summon such a ferocious creature. It seems that Anusha's team's victory is in sight. The multi-armed giant demon clan was one of the most powerful clans in the many planes. They weren't any weaker than the giant dragon clan. The battle prowess of that 4-armed giant demon might only be slightly inferior to that of a level 3 Blood Meridian warlock like Anusha with Black Dragon's Blood Meridians. Level 3 Blood Meridian warlocks with other Blood Meridians were practically not its match. Such an adult 4-armed giant demon could completely massacre a small state by itself. Tear them to shreds. Tear everyone in Rex's group to shreds. Go. Get rid of those good-for-nothings who only know how to use weapons of war. Tear them to shreds. Tear them to shreds. I've placed a heavy bet on you guys. Don't let me down. You good-for-nothings. Seeing the 4-armed giant demon appear, the atmosphere within the royal grand arena once again boiled up. Countless aristocrats with bloodshot eyes roared madly and hooted. That 4-armed giant demon had the terrifying power to reverse the battle situation. The complexions of Anusha, Johann and Angelica at once became much better. Rain's complexion at once became extremely unsightly. Carol's eyebrows also creased slightly. Not long after that 4-armed giant demon walked out of the silver-white door, a pitch-black as ink huge palm with sharp claws suddenly extended from the silver-white door, at once grabbing the 4-armed giant demon's head and casually twisting it. As if squashing an egg, the 4-armed giant demon's head was immediately squashed. A bloody maw full of sharp teeth and exuding a strong smell of blood extended from the silver-white door. It opened its maw and directly swallowed the 4-armed giant demon into its belly. Seeing that bloody maw, the complexions of everyone within the Black Dragon Empire's royal grand arena changed greatly. They could all sense the endless evil aura coming from that bloody maw. Solomon, who had always been chuckling, finally restrained his smile, his eyes revealing a trace of graveness. When warlock summoners carry out a summoning from another plane, warlock summoners with insufficient strength would often summon some terrifying beings from another plane. Many of those terrifying beings from other planes were bloodthirsty by nature. Once they descend upon this world of warlocks, they would start a massacre within this world of warlocks, devouring the flesh and souls of all life forms. Some terrifying beings from other planes even possess terrifying strength comparable to that of gods. If it was such a terrifying being, then no one in Tyrannid subcontinent would be the opponent of such a terrifying being. After that bloody maw devoured the 4-armed giant demon, a head with 8 eyes and a malevolent maw on its forehead immediately squeezed towards the silver-white door, attempting to squeeze out of it. That terrifying being slightly bumped against the silver-white door. Immediately after, the silver-white door trembled, produced countless cracks, and was on the verge of collapse. Obviously, that silver-white door was unable to bear the energy consumption of that terrifying being to cross planes. The more powerful the being, the more energy they needed to consume to cross planes. Therefore, it was very difficult for those formidable beings to instantly descend to a world with their true bodies. That warlock summoner also directly spouted a big mouthful of blood, his complexion at once aged by a decade. That terrifying being's 8 eyes turned, it opened its maw and spat out a pitch-black gas at once, before falling on the ground and condensing into an up to 6 m tall freak with 8 eyes and a bloody maw on its forehead. Its entire body was pitch-black, as if covered in a layer of black carapace, its hands and legs were slender, and it had sharp claws. That freak was the projection of that terrifying being in this world. Chapter 102. After the eight-eyed terrifying existence left behind a projection and descended into this world, it opened its mouth and inhaled. Anusha's group of level 2 warlocks were sucked into its mouth one by one, as if they were ants, without the power to resist. That bloody maw closed, incomparably mournful blood-curdling screams were immediately transmitted from that terrifying existence's bloody maw. Simultaneously, several legs were continuously struggling and squirming outside that bloody maw. Level 2 warlocks already belonged to the category of extraordinary life forms, they had terrifying life force. But that terrifying life force also made them suffer even more before death. After that terrifying existence had swallowed all the members of Anusha's group apart from the warlock summoner, it then withdrew its body in satisfaction and disappeared inside that silver-white door. I am Mandragula, lowly humans, offer me powerful flesh and souls, or else I'll eat you. That eight-eyed terrifying existence's projection turned its head towards the sky, the 8 eyeballs twisted and turned, it said eerily. In a split second, the complexions of all the warlocks in the Black Dragon Imperial Grand Arena changed slightly, they could feel as if they were being fixedly stared at by that eight-eyed terrifying existence, just like a frog being stared at by a snake. Fear rose from the depths of their hearts. Yang Feng's complexion changed slightly, he was full of dread towards that freak, to actually be able to trace this place through the power of magic, that freak is really too terrifying. That freak's main body that could trace this place through the power of magic was absolutely comparable to that of a god. The originally lively and vigorous presenter also had a pale complexion, his body shivered and his legs went soft. Boom! 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 After all the warlocks in Anusha's group were swallowed by that eight-eyed freak, the defensive spells they had cast immediately collapsed. Shortly after, a dense hail of artillery fire engulfed that terrifying freak. Interesting, this world's weapons of war. Unfortunately, they're just some interesting toys, nothing more. It's impossible for them to injure me. Amidst the explosion, a cold and cruel laughter was transmitted. That strange cruel laughter crossed countless kilometers, under the effect of a nether law, it reverberated in the ears of everyone in the Black Dragon Imperial Grand Arena. The cannonballs that were originally aimed at the silver-white door were deflected by a strange force, and landed hundreds of meters away from the silver-white door. The terrifying explosion instantly blasted the open space hundreds of meters away from the silver door into smithereens, leaving huge craters everywhere. In the center of the silver-white door, one could see the eight-eyed freak standing proudly and coldly looking at the sky. Its 8 eyes flickered with a peculiar radiance, and a terrifying life force comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock diffused from its body. Yang Feng stared at the eight-eyed freak and frowned. What a powerful freak. The application of power has completely surpassed the standard of a level 3 warlock. If they stood still, then even a great warlock rank expert would have their defenses broken by the endless shellfire, and then be blasted into pieces. However, as long as one was proficient in the application of various spells, they could create strange effects similar to the eight-eyed monsters. The trajectories of the artillery fire were directly distorted by the eight-eyed monster with a strange force, basically unable to hit it. It also didn't need to expend too much power to withstand the might of the artillery explosions, that's why it could so easily withstand the bombardment of the artillery fire. The level of its application of power wasn't something that an ordinary level 3 warlock could compare to. The projections of formidable beings from other planes were basically invincible in the same rank. It was extremely difficult to defeat them. The eight-eyed monster's 2 eyes emitted a strange radiance, distorting the trajectories of the various artillery shells. The remaining 6 eyes turned and at once locked onto the experts in Yang Feng's group within the Dragon Battle Isle. Delicious flesh and souls. Offer them all to me. Mandragul's 6 eyes swiveled, it gave a sinister smile, and extremely strange radiances shot out from its 6 eyes. The bodies of the 6 level 2 warlocks more than a dozen li away trembled, blood flowed out of their pores, and very strangely, copious amounts of blood spurted out of the 7 apertures on their heads. Along with transparent spirits, they turned into blood arrows and shot towards Mandragula in a flash. Within a short span of a few breaths, those 6 blood arrows, along with the souls of the 6th level, 2 warlocks, flew into Mandragul's mouth, making it chew them in big mouthfuls. The bodies of the 6th level, 2 warlocks trembled, they fell to the ground and turned into 6 corpses. Seeing this scene, everyone felt a slight chill in their hearts. On the Dragon Battle Isle, the complexions of Yang Feng's group's warriors were even paler, their bodies trembled, their eyes brimming with fear. Such a strange and savage freak wasn't an existence that they could defeat. At this moment, 20 level, 8 beast-type bladed troops at once swept out from the jungle, holding high-frequency oscillation blades, they fiercely chopped at Mandragul. A bunch of steel lumps, I'll tear you apart. Mandragul's eyes flashed with a touch of malevolence, its figure shook, it at once appeared like a specter behind a beast-type bladed troop, it slapped its head with its palm. In a split second, the beast-type bladed troop immediately crumbled from top to bottom, turning into countless components that were ejected in all directions. Mandragul's palm revealed its terrifying control over power, it completely shattered the interior of the beast-type bladed troop, the main control core was also completely smashed under its palm. After smashing the beast-type bladed troop with a palm strike, Mandragul's figure flashed, directly dodging the countless gunner troop's artillery fire, and very strangely appeared in front of another beast-type bladed troop. His claw pierced into the bladed troop's left chest, forcibly pulling out the beast-type bladed troop's main control core and casually crushing it. Once the main control core of the beast-type bladed troop was crushed, it lost all of its strength, it weakly fell to the ground. When Yang Feng saw this scene, he felt a slight chill in his heart, such a terrifying freak. To actually see through the bladed troop's main control core in such a short period of time, truly a freak. The position of the beast-type bladed troop's main control core was very hidden, even if a level 3 warlock was able to destroy those beast-type bladed troops, but it still wouldn't be that easy to discover its main control core. Mandragul merely destroyed one beast-type bladed troop and then grasped the bladed troop's main control core, its strong insight was simply appalling. Chapter 103. Mandragul's figure flickered, he easily dug out the 6 beast-type bladed troops' main control cores. The remaining beast-type bladed troops didn't even come into contact with its body. When Mandragul arrived before the 7th beast-type bladed troop, its electronic eyes turned red, and the self-destruct bombs hidden within its body instantly detonated. Practically at the same time, the remaining more than a dozen beast-type bladed troops simultaneously detonated the bombs within their bodies. Boom! 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 Along with earth-shattering explosions, everything within a kilometer's diameter was completely engulfed by the terrifying explosion shock waves. Every level 8 beast-type bladed troop had a terrifying self-destruct bomb capable of killing a level 3 warlock buried within its body. The simultaneous detonation of more than a dozen beast-type bladed troops, the might was simply earth-shattering. Even a pinnacle level 3 warlock extraordinary life form, with the slightest carelessness, would also be blown to pieces. Has he been killed? All the aristocrats in the Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena thought with trepidation. Mandragul's terror made them feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. Self-destruct. Interesting. However, if you want to kill me with a self-destruct, the power of such a self-destruct would be at least several tens of times stronger, only then would you be able to kill me. Along with a sinister laugh, Mandragul had a sneer on his face as he walked out of the smoke and dust. No. Don't. But Mandragul's smile only lasted for less than a second, before it immediately became alarmed and issued a mournful roar. The body of the warlock summoner standing near the silver-white door instantly shattered into countless fragments, blood splashing everywhere. Having lost the support of the warlock summoner's life force, the silver-white door instantly crumbled and exploded. The instant the silver-white door exploded, an extremely strange attractive force shrouded Mandragol's projection, directly pulling it into the void. The reason why Mandragol's projection could exist in this world was entirely due to the Warlock Summoner using his life force to support the Silver-White Door's power. Once the Warlock Summoner died, it would lose the support of its power, could only collapse and disappear, returning to its own world. A projection comparable to a deity. Interesting. Become my research subject. A voice suddenly came from the Dragon Battle Island. A huge claw that looked like a black dragon's claw grabbed Mandragol's projection from the void and threw it into a crystal ball. Then, it disappeared from sight. Young Feng watched as Mandragol's projection was grabbed by the enormous black dragon's claw without any resistance, and his heart shook. So strong, that's a great warlock hidden in Black Dragon Empire. Powerful indeed. The Royal Grand Colosseum was silent. After the host took a deep breath, he quickly smiled and said with incomparable passion, "All the members of Anusha's team are dead. Now, I announce that Rex's team is the winner of this wagered fight. Let us cheer for this wonderful battle. Well done. I won the bet. I won the bet." Bursts of cheers and applause came from the Royal Grand Arena. Even the aristocrats who placed the bet wrongly also applauded, acknowledging that this was an extremely wonderful wagered fight. Anusha, Angelica, and Johan's complexions at once became very unsightly. Carol heaved a slight sigh of relief. Rains, on the other hand, had a happy expression on his face. Yang Feng also heaved a slight sigh of relief. The terrifying existence from another plane that was summoned by the Warlock Summoner in Anusha's team almost reversed the battle. Were it not for Yang Feng decisively detonating a large number of level 8 bladed troops to kill the Warlock Summoner, then the remaining experts in Yang Feng's team would have been easily killed by Mandragol. Solomon said with a slight smile, "Rex, congratulations on winning this wagered fight. However, I want to know where those weapons and golems came from." Gazes were also concentrated on Yang Feng, their gazes brimming with scorching colors. They were all very interested in the weapons that had displayed extraordinary splendor in the wagered fight. "Your Majesty, I bought those war weapons and war puppets from Steel City. The only blood relative of Steel City's city lord, Yang Feng, and I are good friends. Those golems with battle prowess comparable to level 2 warlocks, I can buy them from him for 1,000,000 magic stones each. Those are self-propelled artillery, 100,000 magic stones each, 1,000 magic stones each. Those are heavy-duty howitzers, 100,000 magic stones each, 500 magic stones each. Those are multiple rocket launchers, each one costs 50,000 magic stones, each shell costs 500 magic stones." Yang Feng introduced them full of enthusiasm. If he could, Yang Feng didn't mind selling arms on a large scale. In any case, those arms had backdoors, whoever used those arms to deal with him would only be courting death. Moreover, selling arms was definitely a windfall. If the construction cost of a self-propelled artillery was converted into magic stones, then it would be at most 2 magic stones. Yang Feng directly quoted a slaughter price of 100,000 magic stones in order to ruthlessly rip off the suckers of Black Dragon Empire. After Solomon heard Yang Feng's price, his enthusiasm at once dropped by a lot. Black Dragon Empire also had a lot of secret treasures manufactured by warlock alchemists, such as magic artillery, steel golems. He was extremely wealthy, so he naturally didn't fancy weapons. Solomon pondered for a moment and then said, "Then Rex, help me buy 10 level 2 warlock rank golems as well as 10 different kinds of weapons." "Yes, Your Majesty." Yang Feng sneered inside, but on the surface he said respectfully. Solomon wanted to buy those level 8 bladed troops and level 8 gunner troops for the purpose of researching and imitating those alchemy products. With Black Dragon Empire's research capabilities, as long as there was a real reference, they could easily imitate them. However, Yang Feng naturally had a way to encrypt those weapons through other methods, as well as mislead the materials of those weapons. Even if Solomon obtained his primary battle robots, the manufacturing cost would definitely be terrifyingly high. After casually saying a few words, Solomon got up and left. A notary took a few large bags of documents and handed them to young Feng, Rains and Carol. Anusha, Angelica and Johan's complexions became extremely unsightly when they saw this scene. Anusha and Angelica were a bit better off. They were the patriarchs of Black Dragon Empire's two great clans. This bit of loss wasn't enough to hurt them. Johan, however, suffered some heavy losses from that defeat. Anusha and Angelica, the two women, immediately turned around and left. Johan, however, quickly adjusted his mood. His face carried a trace of a smile as he walked before young Feng. Congratulations on your victory, Rex. Chapter 104. Rain stepped forward and said with a ridiculing expression, "Then I have to thank you, Johann Gidge. You gifted Rex a marquisdom for free. That's really too generous. As your younger brother, I'm proud of your generosity." Johann's face twitched slightly, then he forced a smile and said, "Rex, I'm very interested in the weapons in your hands. How about I ask you to sell me a batch of weapons?" Young Feng was slightly surprised. He pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, "All right." What young Feng lacked the most at the moment was magic stones. Since there was a sucker for him to slaughter, he naturally wouldn't let it go easily. Even though Rains won a large amount of magic stones from Johann, young Feng still felt that it wasn't enough. Johann quickly brought young Feng to a room, under the witness of a notary. He quickly drafted a contract and purchased a batch of 30 million magic stones worth of weapons from young Feng. But at the same time, it was stipulated that young Feng must deliver the batch of weapons to Johann within 3 months. Black Dragon Empire's Satsuma Marquisdom's western part, Thunder Cloud Mountain Range, in a remote valley, there was an enormous crevice that was several tens of kilometers long and several kilometers wide. Below that enormous crevice was the paradise of all kinds of dark races that had been exiled to the underground world. According to legend, the underground world was the third Warlock dynasty's demonic divine dynasty's era. Some demonic gods that had escaped from the hands of human warlocks used supreme divine abilities and a peerless secret treasure to establish a rebel headquarters. Countless ancient demons, devils and gods that attempted to rebel against humans gathered in this rebel headquarters and fought fiercely against human warlocks for several millennia. In the end, all the rebels were suppressed, sealed, and killed by the human warlocks. Under the battle of countless experts, many unstable places in the entire origin world were smashed to pieces and formed secondary continents. Tyrandot subcontinent was one of those secondary continents. In Tyrandot subcontinent, there was also an underground world. In those days, the underground world gathered the resentment, killing intent and hatred of countless demonic gods towards humans. Many places had restrictions, strange phenomena and other aggregations with great destructive power towards humans. In the secondary continents, it was very difficult for humans to survive in the underground world. All kinds of pets and other races that had escaped from the hands of human warlocks gathered in the underground world and formed an incomparably formidable force. In the first layer of the underground world, at the edge of the huge crack leading to the surface world, there was a majestic war fortress, the demonic Snake Fortress. This demonic snake fort was the Black Dragon Empire's bridgehead in the underground world. There were countless precious resources in the underground world that the surface world didn't have. Some slaves of different races were extremely popular in the human world. For example, the beautiful and coquettish dark elves were just ordinary goods in the underground world. However, if they were captured and sold to the human nobles in the surface world, they would definitely be the favorite playthings of the human nobles. Apart from that, there were also countless precious extraordinary plants, ancient creatures that were almost extinct on the surface, and all kinds of precious mineral resources in the underground world. In order to obtain those precious resources, humans and the races of the underground world fought ceaselessly. At the same time, they also traded with each other to obtain items that were useful to both sides. Demonic Snake Fortress was the humans' bridgehead in the underworld. It was also a huge trading center in the underworld. Every year, the Black Dragon Empire could obtain more than 20 million magic stones in taxes from demonic Snake Fortress as well as all kinds of precious cultivation resources from the underworld. Demonic Snake Fortress, in a gloomy secret room, there was a middle-aged man with a tall and sturdy figure, dressed in a pitch-black armor, exuding a terrifying life force comparable to that of a level 3 warlock and a beautiful dark elf dressed in a black leather armor. The leather armor only covered 3 parts of her body, exposing a large area of her dark and smooth skin. There was a transparent crystal ball placed in the center of the table. The extremely beautiful dark elf's eyes were like silk. She coquettishly said towards the middle-aged man, "It's really boring, Hubert. I've already stayed here for more than a dozen days. It's so boring, how about accompanying me to have some fun?" Hubert swept the dark elf with an ice-cold gaze, as if he was looking at a filthy thing, and said coldly, "Aina, don't provoke me, or else I'll cut you down." Dark elves were lascivious by nature. They would often capture human males as well as males of other powerful races and bring them to their nests to copulate, giving birth to all kinds of grotesque monsters. Many misophobia and bigotry human warlocks were extremely disgusted with dark elves, viewing them as pigs and dogs. Aina restrained all her charm and muttered, "Really a blockhead." The room sank into silence at once. Suddenly, ripples rose on the surface of the transparent crystal ball, and characters clearly appeared on the crystal ball's surface. Hubert carefully looked at those characters, his eyebrows creased slightly, and he said coldly, "Notify your lowly companions, we'll make our move in 3 days." "All right." Aina's eyes flashed with a touch of ecstasy. She took out a crystal ball, silently recited an incantation and pointed at the crystal ball. Shortly after, a black magical radiance hit the crystal ball, and then she immediately reported to the crystal ball. In the evening of the same day, the 30,000 most elite demonic snake corps stationed in demonic snake fortress directly left the fortress with countless supplies. The entire demonic snake fortress fell into a panic. A large number of adventurers as well as the residents who had already settled in demonic snake fortress frantically fled the fortress. 3 days later, an allied force consisting of dark elves, cavemen, gnomes, dwarves, gnomes, ogres as well as all kinds of huge life forms easily captured demonic snake fortress. Black Dragon Empire's capital. Ever since he won the wager with Anusha, Yang Feng was like a fish in water within Black Dragon City. Under Rain's lead, he easily blended into the aristocratic circle of Black Dragon Blood Meridian warlocks. Many aristocrats of Black Dragon Empire took the initiative to look for Yang Feng, wanting to buy all kinds of weapons. Among them, the beast-type bladed troops with battle prowess comparable to level 2 warlocks were the best sellers. A level 2 warlock beast-type bladed troop was sold for 1 million magic stones. Many aristocrats couldn't come up with so many magic stones. However, they had large amounts of gold coins, all kinds of ores and resources. They were very willing to use those ores and all kinds of resources to exchange with Yang Feng for a level 2 warlock beast-type bladed troop. Yang Feng was also happy to take advantage of these suckers. He signed all kinds of contracts and sent a steady stream of resources back to Steel City. Furthermore, in one breath, he sold 20 beast-type bladed troops as well as 5 million magic stones worth of high-energy crystals as the beast-type bladed troops' power source. With the input of all kinds of ores, Steel City, which was originally limited by raw materials and the majority of the munitions factories, at once recovered its vitality. Every munitions factory rumbled and a steady stream of primary battle robots were manufactured. Practically every day, Yang Feng's forces would grow stronger by a fraction. Chapter 105. Within Rain's Manor's garden. Yang Feng embraced Judy in one hand and Shi Shui in the other, leisurely and comfortably admiring the flowers. "Fucking Johann. Rex, your title and territory have already been prepared." Rains had a gloomy expression as he sat beside Yang Feng, his voice brimming with gloom. "However, that fucking Johann made a move. Your Viscountdom and the Satsuma Marquisdom that Johann lost to you are joined together." Yang Feng asked somewhat baffled, isn't this a good thing? Viscountdom and Marquisdom were joined together, like this, it would be very easy to manage. If the territories were separated, then it would be more troublesome to manage. Rain said with a gloomy expression, Satsuma Marquisdom stronghold guarding the entrance to the underworld, demonic snake fortress fell 2 days ago. Those fucking underworld races captured demonic snake fortress, only about 100,000 of demonic snake fortress's 500,000 residents escaped back to the surface world. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased when he heard that, his eyes flashed with a touch of graveness. According to our Black Dragon Empire's laws, Rex, as the Lord of Satsuma Marquisdom, you must recover demonic snake fortress after it fell, otherwise you'll be deprived of your aristocratic title and the right to rule over all of Black Dragon Empire's territories. If it was an ordinary time then it wouldn't matter, but according to the information sent back by our intelligence personnel in the underworld. The underworld's dark elves organized a large number of underworld races to wage a holy war against us humans. Satsuma Marquisdom, as one of the 8 entrances and exits between our Black Dragon Empire and the underworld, will definitely suffer fierce attacks from the underworld races. No wonder Johann would so straightforwardly take out a Marquisdom to wager with us. It turns out that regardless of victory or defeat, he wouldn't suffer any losses. Rain said while gnashing his teeth. The underworld's different races were able to contend against Tyrannid subcontinent's humans for many years without being conquered, their battle prowess could be well imagined. The holy war launched by the underworld's races would definitely be a terrifying disaster for Tyrannid subcontinent's humans. No one knew how many trump cards those underworld races that had been entrenched in the underworld for many years had. 8th Warlock Dynasty's ancient warlocks could use the underworld as a place for low-level warlocks to gain experience. Modern warlocks weren't as formidable as 8th Warlock Dynasty's ancient warlocks. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly as he said, then how many more days can I stay in Black Dragon City? Rain said with a gloomy face, 10 days, the noble senate has already issued a death order. I order you to head to the Satsuma Marquisate within 10 days to preside over the counterattack against demonic snake fortress. Yang Feng was like a fish in water within the Black Dragon City, every day he could sell a large amount of arms. Rains had similarly obtained tremendous benefits from Yang Feng. Once Yang Feng was forced to leave the Black Dragon Empire, then it would be as if Rains had lost an arm, he would no longer be able to contend against Johann. Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of worry as she suggested, Master, there are many experts in the underground world. In the last millennium, more than 16 Tyrannid subcontinent's great warlocks have disappeared while exploring the underworld. According to speculation, they all died in the underground world. Now that the underground races had started a holy war, it was too dangerous. Why don't we leave the Black Dragon Empire immediately and avoid this whirlpool? More than 16 great warlocks have fallen in the underworld. Yang Feng's face flashed with a touch of shock. Every great warlock was extremely formidable, even in other planes, they would be known as legend rank experts, they would be great figures who could leave their names in history. For such formidable existences to have 16 of them fall in the underworld, it could be clearly seen how dangerous the underworld was. Rain said with a gloomy face, to be exact, it's more than 27. This is the accurate figure obtained by the Black Dragon Empire. Our Black Dragon Empire also has 5 great warlocks that have fallen in the underworld. Yang Feng pondered for a moment and then asked curiously, why did those great warlocks take the risk to go to the underworld? The underworld has a lot of incomparably precious magic metals, extraordinary plants and ancient life forms. A lot of magic metals that have been mined to the point of extinction in the surface world are very common in the underworld. A lot of precious resources are also of enormous benefit to great warlocks. This attracted a lot of great warlocks to explore the underworld. Reportedly, there are adult black dragons in the underworld. In order to slaughter black dragons and extract their blood meridian's essence, several of our Black Dragon Empire's great warlocks entered the underworld. In this millennium, our Black Dragon Empire has succeeded in slaughtering dragons 3 times, but at the same time, we have also lost 5 great warlocks. It was also because of those 3 successful slaughters that our Black Dragon Empire was able to become Tyrannid subcontinent's largest state. Rain said slowly. Black Dragon. Yang Feng's eyes lit up slightly. Within Yang Feng's body was the power of the ancient Black Dragon's blood meridians. If the power of the ancient Black Dragon's blood meridians could devour enough Black Dragon's blood meridians, then there would be a trace of hope for it to evolve into a true ancient Black Dragon's blood meridians. Once Yang Feng's blood meridians evolve into a true ancient Black Dragon's blood meridians, then he would have the potential to evolve into a Starry Sky Warlock. But to slaughter a dragon, it wasn't that simple. Every Black Dragon was comparable to a great warlock, moreover, they were very cunning. It was impossible for them to be like the sealed Vedarnia, allowing Yang Feng to use a large amount of primary battle robots to kill them. Eunice promptly advised, Master, a holy war is a religious war, it's generally a battle to the death. Since the Dark Elves are waging a war in the name of a holy war, then it's definitely a terrifying war to the death, they won't give up until they achieve their goal. The entire foundation of the Dark Elves will be mobilized. Even great warlock rank experts may fall in a holy war. These religious lunatics are completely unreasonable, for the sake of a divine decree from their Lord God, even if they were to commit suicide, they would still commit suicide. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased, only now did he understand why Johann was so decisive in giving him that precious marquisdom. Johann didn't want to waste his strength on Satsuma marquisdom in vain. In this kind of holy war to the death, no matter what kind of relationship Johann had with the Dark Elves, in front of a holy war, it was as fragile as paper. If Johann's strength was completely consumed in a war with the Dark Elves, then he would basically have no chance of becoming Black Dragon Empire's emperor. This Johann is too decisive. So decisive that it's scary. Such an enemy is the most troublesome. Moreover, he just ordered a large amount of arms from me. On one hand he can resell the arms, on the other hand he can also weaken my battle potential. That guy is really scary. Yang Feng at once understood why Johann immediately placed such a huge order for arms after the wager. He felt somewhat terrified. Yang Feng pondered for a good while, before finally making a decision. I've made up my mind. After 10 days I'll set off for Satsuma marquisdom. Yang Feng turned around and said, Eunice, I need your strength. Eunice said with a charming smile, Yes, Master, I'm willing to contribute all my strength to you. Chapter 106. Babylon City was located in the center of Satsuma marquisdom. It was also the capital city of Satsuma marquisdom. Babylon City was a huge city with a population of up to 800,000 people. At this moment, outside of Babylon City, countless people were bustling with activity. The Dark Elves commanded the allied forces of the underworld's various races to counterattack the surface world, easily breaching demonic Snake Fortress. This news scared the guts of countless people. A large number of aristocrats and freedmen rushed towards Babylon City. An approximately 20 m long black magic carpet flew in the sky. Everyone on the ground looked up at the black magic carpet in the sky, their eyes flashing with a whiff of awe. Only warlocks, existences that transcended mortals, could ride the magic carpet. Yang Feng looked down from above the black magic carpet, relying on his extraordinary vision. He had a panoramic view of everything on the ground. Yang Feng said with some surprise, What a surprise, there's actually people maintaining order. At the city gate, there were 8 warriors maintaining order, guiding the fleeing crowd into Babylon City. Yang Feng had already received the news that Johann had withdrawn all of his forces from Satsuma marquisdom. The majority of Babylon City's forces had already been withdrawn. He had originally expected to see a chaotic Babylon City. He hadn't expected to see such order here. That magic carpet was Eunice's secret treasure. Although she was merely a pinnacle level 1 warlock, but she was a blood meridian warlock and had a lot of good treasures. Eunice smiled slightly and explained, This isn't surprising. Although Satsuma marquisdom belongs to Johann, but there are also a lot of properties belonging to aristocrats and great merchants. In order to protect their own interests, they would naturally organize themselves and maintain order. Yang Feng looked somewhat regretfully at the warlock pagodas above the city wall and sighed slightly. Unfortunately, after the withdrawal of a large number of warlocks, these warlock pagodas are akin to ruins, without any strength. Babylon City, as the capital of Satsuma Marquisdom, had 9 5-story tall warlock pagodas built above the city wall. If there were 9 level, 3 warlocks overseeing the 9 5-story tall warlock pagodas, then even a great warlock could contend against them. Unfortunately, all of Babylon City's great warlock families had already evacuated along with Johann. With only some lesser aristocrats remaining, the 9 5-story tall warlock pagodas simply couldn't gather enough manpower to guard them, and also couldn't display the terrifying power that could contend against great warlocks. Without any valiant warlocks garrisoned, Yang Feng and his party riding the magic carpet easily flew into Babylon City and towards the city master's mansion. A flame rose from the direction of the city lord's mansion. From the sky, Yang Feng looked in the direction of the city master's mansion and saw that hundreds of thugs had entered the city master's mansion and set it on fire. At the same time, they threw feces, urine, and other disgusting things into the mansion, shouting incessantly. The city master's mansion and the warlock pagoda were different. The city master's mansion was the place where Johann enjoyed the pleasures of mortals. In the city master's mansion, there was a large neutralization pagoda that could completely neutralize the formidable life force released by level 3 warlocks, so that the formidable life force released by level 3 warlocks wouldn't combine with various buildings and form all sorts of strange phenomena. It was precisely because of this that those thugs were able to break into the city lord's mansion and didn't dare to break into the warlock pagoda. So troublesome, kill them all. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly as he ordered coldly. Judy, who was kneeling beside Yang Feng, slightly pressed the dimensional crest on her chest. Shortly after, 10 level 4 humanoid bladed troops flew out from the dimensional crest, landed on the ground and immediately pounced towards the city lord's mansion. Warlocks! There's a warlock! Everyone, quickly flee! From the city lord's mansion, waves of terrified screams and extremely mournful screams were transmitted. Before long, the more than 300 thugs in the city lord's mansion were all killed by the expressionless bladed troops. When the people hiding in the shadows and watching the city lord's mansion saw this scene, they successively inhaled a mouthful of cold air. They understood that Satsuma Marquis had brought a character that shouldn't be trifled with. The city lord's mansion was massacred until rivers of blood flowed. The smell of blood was extremely heavy. After leaving Eunice to preside over the affairs of the lord's mansion, Yang Feng took Judy, Shi Shui and a dozen level 4 knight-rank mechanical golems to stroll around Babylon City. Eunice possessed the ancient life-form Star Stone Crow's blood meridians. Moreover, her blood meridians were extremely pure. She wasn't only a cultivation genius, but she was also very intelligent and proficient in management. She had a huge industry in the Southern States Coalition. The economic lifelines of several principalities were under her control. If she wasn't worried that Aldrich would extract her blood meridians, then with her talent, she would have already broken through and promoted to a level 2 warlock. Shi Shui, such a formidable existence born from a taboo stone, wasn't Eunice's match when she was a level 1 warlock. Eunice's strength could be seen at a glance. After understanding Eunice's talent, Yang Feng also felt relieved and handed over all the affairs of Satsuma Marquis to her. NR 3796's Steel City had a perfect order. Its only shortcoming was the lack of flexibility. It didn't have any flexibility with regards to the territory's independent development and management. This was also its only weakness. Eunice's flexibility and NR 3796's robots jointly formed a ruling structure. It was the most perfect combination in Yang Feng's mind. Help! Help me! Suddenly, from a place not far in front of Yang Feng, a girl's pleasant and mournful cry for help was transmitted. Yang Feng followed the sound and looked. only to see four malevolent-looking scoundrels that didn't look like good people surrounding a young girl. Moreover, they had playful expressions on their faces as they tore at the young girl's clothes. The young girl's clothes were torn to shreds as she incessantly cried. "What a beautiful girl, she's a grade prettier than Judy, but her figure is a bit lacking compared to Judy." Yang Feng swept the young girl with a glance, his eyes slightly brightening. "Shit, what are you looking at?" A blonde scoundrel with a face full of pockmarks turned his head and swept Yang Feng with a glance, then pulled out a dagger and gestured at Yang Feng for a while, threatening, "Scram, or else I'll stab you to death." The remaining few scoundrels also pulled out daggers and loudly threatened the surrounding residents. The nearby residents' faces revealed expressions of fear, one after another they hid in their homes, not daring to come out. Ever since Johann withdrew all of Babylon City's forces, Babylon City's public security deteriorated day by day. Even though there were still some aristocratic private troops maintaining order, but it was still impossible for it to be as good as before. The beautiful young girl raised her head and revealed a delicate and pitiful expression as she implored Yang Feng, "Save me, big brother, I beg you, save me." Chapter 107. "Alright, I'll save you." Yang Feng gave a hearty smile, pulled out a 37mm hand cannon powered by a high-energy crystal from his waist and fired at the beautiful young lady's head. Bang! In a split second, the beautiful young lady's head exploded, red and white matter splattered on the ground. The bodies of the four scoundrels stiffened, then their faces revealed expressions of alarm. "Warlock Darren, don't kill me. Spare my worthless life. Don't kill me. Spare my worthless life." A yellow-haired scoundrel promptly knelt on the ground, repeatedly kowtowed and implored bitterly. The other three scoundrels also directly knelt on the ground, repeatedly kowtowed and begged Yang Feng for their lives. Warlocks, such formidable existences, had already surpassed mortals and stepped into the realm of extraordinary life forms. The majority of warlocks didn't view ordinary people as beings on the same level as themselves. Previously, under Johann's rule, Babylon City could be considered to be in order, warlocks wouldn't casually kill people in the city. But now that the entire Babylon City was without a master, those scoundrels didn't dare to become enemies with a warlock who would kill people in the middle of the street for no reason. At that moment, incomparably sharp black tentacles ejected from the corpse of the beautiful girl whose head was blown off. As if fine steel spears, they instantly pierced through the bodies of the four scoundrels and stabbed towards Yang Feng's heart, leaving behind a trail of blood. Black Dragon Scales. Yang Feng instantly triggered the spell solidified in his spirit sea, countless black dragon scales instantly appeared on the surface of his body. Warping Force Field. Yang Feng casually pointed, a warping force field appeared out of thin air, shrouded the black tentacles, instantly warping them and shifting them to one side. On both sides of the street, tightly shut doors suddenly opened, dozens of assassins dressed in black raised their daggers and madly shot at Yang Feng. The numerous crossbow bolts at once hit Yang Feng's body, before being ricocheted by the dragon's scales covering his entire body. Even among level 1 spells, the level 1 defensive spell Black Dragon Scales was one of the most formidable in terms of physical resistance and magical resistance. Its defensive power was comparable to some level 2 defensive spells. Those crossbow bolts could kill knight rank experts, yet they couldn't even break Yang Feng's skin. Suddenly, alarms went off in Yang Feng's mind. He instantly bent over, and a dark blue ray of light shot out from the dense rain of crossbow bolts, brushed past his body, and stabbed into a wall. As if tofu, the bolts penetrated the wall, leaving behind traces of toxic corrosion, and disappeared. Yang Feng suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Ordinary crossbow bolts naturally couldn't injure him in the slightest, but the alchemy crossbow combined with the magic-breaking arrow could definitely kill him. If he hadn't trained his skills in the virtual reality combat cabin, he would have been severely injured or even killed by the assassin's arrow. Yang Feng was alarmed and angry. He immediately reached out and pressed the dimensional crest on his chest. In that dimensional badge, there were 5 dragon-scaled mechanical warriors, his strongest bodyguards. Suddenly, the eyes of the scoundrel corpse closest to Yang Feng, pierced through by the tentacles of the beautiful young lady, blossomed with endless vitality, his entire body very strangely ejected, appeared behind Yang Feng, and made a stabbing motion, stabbing towards Yang Feng's heart. A premonition of death welled up in Yang Feng's mind, he clenched his teeth, his body directly twisted in violation of the laws of physics, and abruptly shifted a few centimeters to the side. Yang Feng's left chest suddenly strangely appeared with a long wound, as if it was cut open by an invisible dagger, and simultaneously blossomed with the radiance of 6 curses. Yang Feng suddenly felt his vision blur, his head felt like it was splitting, his limbs were powerless, his spirit collapsed, he felt nauseous and wanted to vomit, his strength continuously flowed away, his knees softened, and he almost collapsed to the ground. The scoundrel corpse's attack succeeded, his figure shifted sideways, and once again fiercely stabbed towards Yang Feng's heart while holding the invisible and colorless secret treasure dagger. A claw covered in black dragon scales stretched out from the side and easily grabbed the invisible dagger artifact. In a flash, a terrifying life force comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock erupted. The eyes of the dragon-scaled mechanical warrior flickered with a cold glint, and it ferociously punched towards the scoundrel's corpse with the life force of a level 3 warlock. In a split second, the scoundrel's corpse exploded, and countless thumb-sized black insects with wings and sharp mouthparts flew out and pounced towards Yang Feng. The other dragon-scaled mechanical warrior activated its level 4 protective shield, and a transparent shield instantly appeared in front of it, blocking the countless black bugs. A black figure instantly broke free from the gangster's corpse and flew to the roof of a house, revealing a sexy and voluptuous woman wrapped in black tights. She had a head full of black hair and was exuding a seductive aura from head to toe. The black-haired exceedingly beautiful woman said with a sweet smile, "This is the mechanical golem comparable to a level 3 warlock." It was indeed powerful. "Rex, I'm the assassin Muna invited by the allied forces of the Dark Elves. Stabbed by my dusk dagger, you'll suffer from 6 different curses: life-sucking, weakness, mental collapse, soul weakening, life loss and chi and blood burn. Only I, the owner of the dagger, can remove these 6 curses. Return the dusk dagger to me, and I'll help you remove the curses and spare your life. Kill them all, just leave their heads behind." Yang Feng endured the headache, his eyes flashed with a touch of ruthlessness and he ordered sternly. The figures of the 2 dragon-scaled mechanical warriors shook, and they pounced into the shops on both sides, brandished their claws, and as if squashing ants, tore the assassins in the shops to pieces. One of the dragon-scaled mechanical warriors pounced at the headless tentacle woman, and blew her up with a punch. The figure of the other dragon-scaled mechanical warrior shook, and like a bolt of lightning, it shot towards the exceedingly beautiful assassin supporting Muna. "What a boorish beast! I'll retrieve my dusk dagger after you're dead." Muna smiled slightly, and then her body collapsed, turning into countless wisps of black smoke and disappearing. Yang Feng's pupils constricted slightly when he saw this scene. NR 3796's database contained a large number of spells, but he didn't know what kind of spell Muna had used to escape from the hands of the dragon-scaled mechanical warriors with battle prowess comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock. Without the strange and unfathomable assassin Muna, the strongest among the remaining assassins were merely knight-rank experts. They simply couldn't resist the slaughter of the dragon-scaled mechanical warriors and were very quickly wiped out. Chapter 108. The Dusk Dagger's 6 curses could slowly curse a level 2 warlock to death. Yang Feng bathed in the blood of an ancient dragon, his body's resistance to curses was extremely terrifying. After half an hour, he finally dispelled the 6 curses one by relying on his tyrannical life force. After recovering, Yang Feng looked at the corpses on the ground, creased his eyebrows slightly and said in a low voice, "Who sent people to assassinate me?" Judy said curiously, "Wasn't it the assassins sent by the Dark Elves?" "As long as they assassinate Master, then without a leader, Satsuma Marquisdom would be theirs." Yang Feng said with a bitter smile, I originally thought so. But Muna's words instead made me even more puzzled. Moreover, if the demons joined hands with the dark elves, then the problem would be even greater. Yang Feng's gaze fell on the corpse of the tentacle young lady that was chopped into pieces, creased his eyebrows and said in a low voice. The tentacle young lady was from one of the 5 great demon imperial clans, the Undying Hellion clan. Even though her head had been smashed, but she still hadn't died. If Yang Feng hadn't felt that something was wrong with her and acted in advance to smash her head, then it wouldn't have been so simple to kill her. The Hellion clan was the product of the Second Warlock dynasty's taboo experiments. The 5 great Hellion ancestors were the crystallization of Second Warlock dynasty's warlock technology. The 5 great Hellion ancestors were respectively the Undying Hellion ancestor, the Myriad Beasts Hellion ancestor, the Ancient Demonic Hellion ancestor, the Giant Divine Hellion ancestor, and the Myriad Divine Hellion ancestor. During the manufacturing process, the founding emperor of the Second Warlock dynasty, the Taboo Emperor, used his flesh and blood, part of his soul, spirit, countless treasures of heaven and earth, and rare materials to forge the 5 Hellion ancestors into the strongest weapons. After the Taboo Emperor's death, the 5 great Hellion ancestors immediately rebelled against Second Warlock dynasty, creating a large Hellion army and fiercely fighting Second Warlock dynasty for thousands of years. In the end, the 5 great Hellion ancestors were suppressed by Second Warlock dynasty. But Second Warlock dynasty also paid an extremely painful price, its rule was on the verge of collapse, and finally the dynasty collapsed. Demons, this kind of taboo life form, were existences that fed on humans. Unless they promoted to great warlock rank demons, low-level demons were basically unable to control their appetites. Every day, they had to eat human flesh in order to be able to stay awake. Moreover, once a fiendish demon devoured a human, it could obtain all the human's knowledge and most of the human's power. Therefore, fiendish demons were almost the natural enemy of humans. In the world of warlocks, countless human experts were killing Hellions. However, even though the Hellions had suffered repeated defeats and had been strangled by human warlocks for hundreds of thousands of years, they were still alive, but their movements were becoming more and more secretive. Among the Hellions, there were 5 great Hellion imperial clans. The 5 great Hellion imperial clans were respectively inherited from the 5 great Hellion ancestors. They possessed the blood meridians of the Hellion ancestors, and their cultivation speed was as astonishing as that of human blood meridian warlocks. Moreover, their evolutionary potential was practically endless. There were even human warlocks who, in order to obtain power, degenerated into Hellions. The Tentacle Girl was from the Undying Hellion clan, one of the 5 Hellion imperial clans. Now that she was killed by Yang Feng, he had a headache. This was tantamount to forming a blood feud with the Demon Clan. Of course, the Tentacle Girl wasn't an important figure in the Undying Hellion Imperial Clan, but if the Hellion powerhouses encountered her, they wouldn't mind killing Yang Feng. The severed heads of the assassins were collected. Together with the Tentacle Girl's corpse, they were thrown into a warehouse and handed over to a specialized memory-reading robot to read their memories. The origins of the assassins were quickly read. They came from an assassin organization called Death Shadow. This time, they were hired to assassinate Yang Feng. Apart from this, the small fry assassins didn't know anything too important. The memory cores of Hellions were different from that of humans, their memory cores were located within their demonic cores. Of course, the demonic cores were also a kind of important crystallization of biological energy, they were also one of the hard currencies in the world of warlocks. The head of the Tentacle Girl from the Undying Hellion clan was smashed by Yang Feng's cannon, but her demonic core wasn't damaged. Therefore, Yang Feng was able to read a lot of memories from her demonic core. The Tentacle Girl from the Undying Hellion clan came from Samuel Dukedom next to Satsuma Marquisdom. Samuel Dukedom was ruled by Samuel family, one of the 36 Black Dragon Blood Meridian families. The Hellion girl was the favorite concubine of one of Samuel Dukedom's sons. From the memories of the Hellion girl, Yang Feng learned that Samuel Dukedom's son was very clear about her identity as a Hellion. Moreover, the Samuel family also kept a group of undead fiendish demons in captivity for the family to serve as slaves. Hellions had to eat human flesh and blood in order to maintain their rationality. For the Samuel family, rearing fiendish demons was as easy as lifting a finger. Every year, a lot of criminals in their territory would be eaten by those Hellions. The Undying Hellions were a sharp sword to deal with their enemies. Undying Hellions possessed the blood meridians of the Hellion ancestor. Even if their blood meridians were thin, it would still be very easy for them to promote to a level 1 warlock. Moreover, it was very normal for Hellions to kill people. Even if those Hellions were caught, Samuel family wouldn't be suspected, because they had set up magic restrictions inside the bodies of those Hellions. Once those Hellions wanted to leak information, then they would self-detonate. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly, his mind full of doubts. What's going on? I don't have any grudges or conflicts with Samuel family, so why would they send people to assassinate me? Yang Feng was currently Satsuma Marquisdom's lord, shouldering the heavy responsibility of resisting Satsuma Marquisdom's allied forces from the underworld's races. Even Hardadef only withdrew all of his power and didn't leave too many obstacles for him. Samuel Dukedom and Satsuma Marquisdom were neighbors. Once Satsuma Marquisdom was breached, then Samuel Dukedom would be bordered by the underworld's races' allied forces. Any sane lord wouldn't try to assassinate Yang Feng at this time. Yang Feng had a gloomy expression, puzzled after much thought. Could it be that Samuel family has already colluded with the underworld's races' allied forces? In the end, what's in it for them? Eunice arrived beside Yang Feng and said, "Master, there's an urgent military situation." Yang Feng had an ominous premonition. What urgent military situation? Eunice's eyebrows were shrouded in a layer of haze as she said, Fishtooth City was captured by the Dark Elves' allied forces a day ago. The Dark Elves' allied forces are currently marching towards Baza City. Yang Feng was very surprised as he said, Fishtooth City was captured. How could it be so fast? Fishtooth City was a large city with a population of around 200,000, it was the gateway to Satsuma Marquisdom. Once Fishtooth City was captured, then Satsuma Marquisdom's hinterland would be exposed to the Dark Elves' allied forces. Chapter 109. It had been nearly half a month since the Dark Elves' allied forces came out of the underground world. In that half a month, they had been holed up in the huge crack in the mountain range, adapting to the difference in the environment between the surface world and the underground world. Yang Feng had thought that the Dark Elves would need at least a month to adapt to the surface world's environment. He hadn't expected that they would launch an attack so quickly and easily capture Fishtooth City. Eunice said with a bitter smile, the majority of Satsuma Marquisdom's warlock clans have already followed Johann and left this place. Fishtooth City was originally under the control of the said family. After the departure of said family, Fishtooth City will no longer have a warlock family guarding it. Naturally, it will be impossible to resist the attack of the Dark Elves. The Dark Elven Alliance was a powerful force that dared to counterattack the surface world. Each adult Dark Elf had outstanding martial skills and could easily kill a knight-rank powerhouse at night or in the forest. At the same time, they also had wizards, Dark Elven priests, druids and other formidable inheritances whose battle prowess was second only to warlocks. Moreover, they raised a large number of extraordinary life forms as weapons of war. Fishtooth City, which didn't have a warlock family keeping watch, naturally wouldn't be their match. Yang Feng's gaze was cold as he said, I know. Eunice, pass down my order immediately. Deprive all nobles who leave their territories without permission of all their territories and mineral veins. Since they aren't willing to stay here and resist the Dark Elves' allied forces with me, then all their benefits here belong to me. The Satsuma Marquisdom was extremely fertile and prosperous, possessing countless precious resources. Just the magic stone veins alone numbered in the dozens. It was precisely because of such a huge amount of resources that warlock clans of all sizes could be raised. Steel City's area was much larger than Satsuma Marquis-dam, but it didn't have a single magic stone vein. Therefore, it was only controlled by a level 1 warlock group like Black Cottage. Eunice said, "My lord, only the Imperial Senate or the Black Dragon Tower can give such an order to deprive those nobles of their territories and mineral veins." Although Yang Feng had great power in the Satsuma Marquis-dam and could even formulate laws such as the Constitution. But when it came to aristocrats, warlocks, property, safety, and other matters, they still had to go through the Empire's Senate or Black Dragon Pagoda. Yang Feng said, "Then send a letter to the Imperial Senate and the Black Dragon Pagoda and have them issue an order." Eunice was very clever and immediately pointed out the most crucial point: as long as John manipulates it, they will not issue this order at all. They will only continue to delay it. Hardadef was one of the heirs to the throne of the Black Dragon Empire. He had deep roots in the Black Dragon Empire, and he had people in the Imperial Senate. If he wanted to do something big, he might not necessarily be able to accomplish it, but if he wanted to trip Yang Feng up, it couldn't be simpler. So that's how it is. This is a huge pit waiting for me to jump into. Yang Feng frowned, his eyes flashed with a cold glint, and he sneered, "However, it won't be that easy to make me suffer." Eunice also gave a sweet smile and gave Yang Feng an idea. "That's right, since they left, then we can exploit the ore veins they left behind. In any case, the entire Satsuma Marquis-dam is now our territory. If anyone dares to stop us from mining, we'll kill them all." Yang Feng revealed a trace of a smile, embraced Eunice and kissed her. "Good idea. I think so too. Immediately go and arrange for the mining of the ore veins. Before all the ore veins are mined, I won't win against the Dark Elves, nor will I lose." Using those specialized mining robots as well as all kinds of large-scale mining equipment, Yang Feng would definitely be able to mine huge amounts of ore within a short period of time. Within Steel City, all the large ore veins were nearly mined out by Yang Feng's mining robots within a short span of a few years. Only then could he build more than 1 million level 7 primary battle robots. If Yang Feng was given a year or two, then all the magic stone or veins in Satsuma Marquis-dam would have been completely mined out by him. Baza City. A team of city guards was patrolling above the city wall. The captain of the team had a tall and sturdy build, a head full of short blue hair, a very handsome appearance and an extraordinary temperament. Only, his eyebrows were shrouded in a layer of haze. A blonde soldier asked somewhat worriedly, "Ares, I've heard that the Dark Elves have already killed their way out of the ground. Will they attack our Baza City?" Ares raised his eyebrows and berated in a low voice, "Who did you hear this from? Don't spread such baseless words, otherwise, if the higher-ups hear it, then you'll be in big trouble. Also, when patrolling, you must call me Captain." "Heh, Captain, what time is it? All the aristocratic lords in the city have already fled." A soldier with short blue hair swept the 5-storied warlock pagoda above the city wall with a glance, his eyes flashed with a whiff of disdain and he said in a low voice, "Even the bigwigs in those few pagodas have already disappeared. If we don't leave now, then we won't be able to leave even if we wanted to." The complexions of the rest of the soldiers paled and they were panic-stricken. In Tyrannid's subcontinent, all the soldiers were very clear that the most formidable existences in war were warlocks or weapons refined using alchemy. The role of ordinary soldiers was only to occupy the city, maintain public order, clean up the battlefield, search for enemies and other simple tasks. They were unable to play a decisive role. Now that all the warlocks in Baza City had already fled, those soldiers were naturally filled with fear and didn't have any confidence. "Everyone, don't panic. Our new lord of Satsuma Marquis-dam has already arrived. He definitely won't abandon us." Ares saw that the situation was anything but reassuring and immediately shouted, "That's right, the new lord should be a formidable warlock. Since the new lord has arrived, he shouldn't abandon us." After hearing Ares' words, the morale of the soldiers was slightly restored. In the Black Dragon Empire, the majority of the lords of earldom and above were formidable warlocks. The people in their territories would basically revere their lords from the bottom of their hearts. Protecting the people in their territories was also the responsibility of the lords. Look! What's that? Suddenly, a soldier cried out in alarm and pointed towards the sky. All the soldiers looked towards the sky and their complexions at once became incomparably pale. In the distant sky, there were level, one extraordinary life-form hippogriffs carrying dark elves flying towards them. Smoke and dust surged on the ground as the huge army of dark elves galloped towards them. After seeing this scene, all the soldiers above the city wall trembled, their eyes flashing with endless fear and despair. Chapter 110. Without a warlock keeping watch, Baza City's warriors basically didn't have the ability to threaten the level, one extraordinary life-form hippogriffs in the sky. Even if it was a knight-rank archer, without the blessing of a spell to strengthen their physical constitution, even if they shot the hippogriffs, they still wouldn't be able to break through the other party's feathers. A soldier hesitated for a moment before saying, "I've heard that dark elves abduct humans to make love with them and give birth to the next generation. Surrendering might not be so bad." Dark elves were said to be a branch of high elven blood meridians. They possessed high elven blood meridians. Their males were handsome and their females were beautiful, there were no ugly ones. Due to the shackles of their bloodline, the ratio of males to females was 1:20. There were too few males and they were basically studs. Therefore, they would abduct a lot of different races to make love with them and give birth to the next generation. After hearing that soldier's words and thinking of all kinds of legends about the dark elves, the soldiers atop the city wall slightly relaxed and their fighting spirit dissipated. Ares said with a cold smile, "That's right, as long as we human males fall into the hands of the dark elves, then we'll become their breeding tools. However, every man that falls into their hands will have to be bred more than 50 times a day. Which one of you can stand it?" The soldiers atop the city wall thought for a moment before their complexions turned pale. 1 or 2 times a day was enjoyable, but 50 times a day was absolutely fatal. Ares continued to strike back. "Moreover, after they discover that you guys can't be used, they'll throw you alive to feed all kinds of extraordinary life forms. Then they'll giggle from the side as they watch you being eaten alive. Do you still want to surrender like this?" When the soldiers atop the city wall heard that, their bodies turned ice cold. Only now did they realize that the dark elves not only had lascivious characteristics, but also cold-blooded and ruthless, cruel and cunning, and so on. Among the dark elves, there was a type of war weapon called the drow spider. The drow spider was a dark elf who was defeated in a battle and was turned into an evil existence with the lower body of a large spider and the upper body of a dark elf. Drow possessed formidable magical resistance and could walk on all kinds of terrains just like a spider. It could even walk freely on top of city walls. It was a terrifying weapon with battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. The ruler of the Dark Elves, Goddess Lolth, was an evil goddess. The Dark Elves also grasped a large number of sinister and taboo spells and rituals. If humans fell into the hands of the Dark Elves, they wouldn't have a good ending. The dozens of hippogriffs in the sky quickly flew above Baza City's city wall. The Dark Elf archers on the backs of the hippogriffs didn't utter any superfluous words and immediately shot arrows at the warriors above Baza City. The Dark Elven archers riding on the hippogriffs had superb archery skills. As if they had eyes, the arrows instantly pierced through the bodies of dozens of human warriors, directly nailing them to the ground. Above the city wall of Baza City, many human archers drew their bows and shot arrows towards the sky. A dense rain of arrows flew towards the sky. A despairing scene appeared. Most of the arrows shot by the human archers missed, while a small portion of them were directly slapped away by the hippogriffs. Not a single hippogriffs were injured. The Dark Elven archers in the sky easily shot down the human archers, killing them one by one. After more than 100 human archers were killed, the morale of the human soldiers on the city wall began to crumble, and they all began to flee down the city wall. Each and every one of them scrambled to be the first to throw away their helmets and armor, and some even killed their companions. Within the headquarters of the allied forces of the Dark Elves attacking Baza City, the Dark Elven commander Biska, with a sexy figure, dressed in a sexy leather armor and exuding a seductive charm, looked at the humans above the city wall who had thrown away their helmets and armor. The corners of her mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a sneer. Biska took out a scimitar, pointed at Baza City, and shouted in a stern voice, "Without the support of warlocks, these humans are truly a bunch of wastes. For such wastes to be able to occupy this fertile land for so many years is simply a waste. Under the guidance of Her Majesty the Great Goddess, will definitely be victorious and dominate this fertile land. Charge!" Up to 4 meters tall drow with the upper body of a huge naked dark elf and the lower body of a sinister spider walked out from the allied forces of the Dark Elves and quickly crawled in the direction of Baza City. Drow, as weapons of war that could walk on top of city walls, were one of the strongest weapons of the Dark Elves. Baza City didn't have any warlocks guarding it. Biska could massacre the defenders of Baza City by relying on the 30 drow. As Biska watched the drow rapidly approach Baza City, the corners of her mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile. As long as the drow attacked Baza City and then opened the city gate, the Dark Elven army would be able to easily enter Baza City and easily take control of the city. Johann had taken away the demonic Snake Legion as well as all the warlock families within Satsuma Marquisdom, leaving Satsuma Marquisdom without any warlocks to protect it. This made Satsuma Marquisdom seem as if it had become an egg without a shell, and anyone could easily take a bite out of it. Fishtooth City was also easily captured by the allied forces of the Dark Elves. A city without the protection of warlocks was truly too fragile. At this moment, rumbling sounds of propellers were transmitted from the sky. Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft flew over from the rear of Baza City. Everyone's eyes flashed with a touch of astonishment as they looked at the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft and the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters beside them. What's that? Are those new alchemical weapons? Many of the human soldiers raised their heads and looked at the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft and the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters in the sky, their eyes flashing with a touch of hope. The level of education of the human soldiers wasn't high, but they still knew some legends regarding warlocks. According to the legends, warlock alchemists had the power to manufacture all kinds of outrageous alchemical weapons. Every formidable warlock alchemist had the terrifying power to reverse the tide of a battle. The warriors of the allied forces of the Dark Elves of the Underworld's allied forces watched the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft and the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters in the sky, their eyes flashing with a touch of uneasiness. In those days, they were suppressed by human warlocks and they were very clear about the strength and terror of human warlocks. Chapter 111. Get rid of them. Biska looked at the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport helicopters and Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters that suddenly appeared in the sky, and her eyes flashed with a touch of unease, before she screamed and ordered. The 60 hippogriffs carrying the Dark Elven archers quickly flew towards the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters. There were only 15 Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters, they had the confidence to get rid of these steel lumps. The hippogriffs had just moved, when the 15 extremely nimble Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters that resembled flying heavy tanks immediately launched. They transformed, unfolded their wings, and at the same time, ejected a powerful stream of air from the propellers beneath their wings. Their speed suddenly soared, and they turned into 15 fighter-like heavy-duty assault helicopters. After the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters transformed, their speed suddenly soared to half the speed of sound. Their cannons rumbled, and countless shells formed a terrifying barrage barreling towards the hippogriff riders in the sky. A hippogriff rider was hit in the chest by a 37.5 mm cannonball, and the upper half of his body was blasted apart. The hippogriff of a hippogriff rider was hit in the head, and the hippogriff rider's head was blasted apart, and the hippogriff rider dropped to the ground. Copious amounts of blood sputtered. One after another, the hippogriff riders were blasted apart, and fell from the sky. The hippogriff riders, who were the best archers of the Dark Elves, also displayed extremely terrifying archery. Their arrows unexpectedly hit the high-speed Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters. But it was of no use. Those arrows were basically unable to tear through the tank-like thick armor of the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters. They merely stuck on the armor of the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters, and were unable to cause any substantial damage. Long live the Lord! Kill them! Kill those freaks! Long live the Lord! When the humans on the ground saw this scene, they erupted in earth-shaking cheers. Even the stupidest person would know that only their new overlord would be able to send such powerful alchemical weapons to help them. When the warriors of the allied forces of the underworld saw this scene, their complexions at once became very unsightly. The roof of a Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft opened, and a platform appeared, lifting Yang Feng to the roof of the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft. Simultaneously, numerous loudspeakers extended from the roof of the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft. Yang Feng looked down at the Baza city's military and civilians and said faintly, "I'm Rex, the newly appointed Lord of Satsuma Marquisdom. From today onwards, you're all my people and can obtain my protection. As long as you are loyal to me, I will fulfill my responsibilities as a lord and protect you." Under the effect of the loudspeaker, Baza city's military and civilians could clearly hear Yang Feng's words. "Long live Lord Lake! Long live the great Lord Rex! May the great Overlord Rex be eternal!" Earth-shaking cheers and praises for Yang Feng were once again transmitted from Baza City. "Those who oppose me will be destroyed." Amidst the cheers of countless people in Baza City, Yang Feng pointed towards the 30 drow. The 15 Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters in the sky fired their air-to-ground missiles. Boom! 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 Accompanied by a series of earth-shattering explosions, the 30 drow spider were blown to pieces one by one, fragmented and fragmented. Seeing the 30 drow being blasted into pieces, the complexions of the warriors of the underworld's allied forces became even more unsightly. The 50 Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft directly landed on Baza City's city wall. Level 4 primary battle robots successively unloaded and installed the self-propelled artillery, fixed artillery, laser artillery, rocket artillery, howitzers, heavy machine guns, anti-aircraft cannons and many other military weapons inside the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft. Yang Feng looked down at the many warriors of Baza City and said in a deep voice as if a god, "Warriors of Baza City, return to your posts and fight in order to protect your homeland. For Rex Darren, for our homeland, brothers, pick up our weapons and fight." Ares raised the blade in his hands and bellowed loudly. "Fight! Fight!" Baza City's human warriors at once raised their weapons and bellowed loudly with rousing morale. Their voices shook the sky and they walked towards their posts one after another. Baza City's human warriors had no lack of brave warriors, but without the support of warlocks, they were just like unarmed people facing fully armed special forces, without any power to resist. Now that Yang Feng had brought a huge number of military weapons to support them, it allowed them to regain their fighting spirit. Yang Feng jumped down from the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft and stood on top of the city wall, his gaze cold and detached as he looked at the distant Dark Elven allied forces. Biska hesitated for a moment, then clenched her teeth and ordered, "Attack." Following Biska's order, dense crowds of eyeless cavemen poured out of the allied forces of the underground races. Those cavemen were approximately 1.4 meters tall, had huge heads and didn't have eyes. They could only rely on their hearing and the caveman leader's spirit force to guide them. Those cavemen's reproductive ability was extremely terrifying. As long as they were given enough food, a female caveman could give birth to hundreds of offspring in a year. They were weak and had low intelligence. They were the lowest level of existence in the underground world and were the best cannon fodder. A fully armed human soldier could easily kill a few cavemen at the same time. Those cavemen were also very easy to feed. They could survive by eating some leaves and grass. In a short war, even if their numbers were greater, the pressure on the logistics wouldn't be too great. However, those hundreds of thousands of cavemen suddenly rushed out and pounced towards Baza City like countless large man-eating ants. Seeing those densely packed cavemen, the complexions of the human warriors above Baza City's city wall suddenly changed and their eyes flashed with a whiff of fear. There were only 5,000 regular troops within the entire Baza City. If they were to fight in the open, then those hundreds of thousands of cavemen would be able to tear them to shreds. Even if they had the city wall to rely on, it still wouldn't be that simple to kill those hundreds of thousands of cavemen. Open fire. Yang Feng looked at those hundreds of thousands of cavemen with a callous gaze and ordered in a cold voice. The several tens of heavy machine guns above Baza City's city wall instantly spat out countless tongues of flame. A dense hail of bullets formed a terrifying metal storm sweeping towards those cavemen. Chapter 112. Under the frenzied strafing of the several tens of heavy machine guns, thousands upon thousands of caveman warriors were blasted at practically every moment, with blood and limbs splashing in all directions. The incomparably huge caveman legion seemed to have hit an invisible wall, unable to advance by even an inch, before being blasted into pieces by the heavy machine guns. Ares watched as the countless cavemen were blasted into pieces, his heart brimming with shock. So strong. So strong. These are Lord Darren's alchemical war weapons, they're really too strong. When the human warriors above the city wall saw this scene, their hearts brimmed with shock as well. Although the human warriors in Baza City had undergone strict military training, but it was the first time they had seen the terror of warlocks in a large-scale war. The complexions of the warriors of all the races within the Dark Elven Allied Forces headquarters were extremely unsightly when they saw this scene. The cavemen were indeed cannon fodder, an adult Dark Elf could casually kill several tens of them. But when faced with hundreds of thousands of cavemen, even the Dark Elven mages would have to retreat. Otherwise, they might be killed by those several 100,000 cavemen. Currently, more than 100,000 cavemen had died before they even approached Baza City's city wall. According to this situation, the cavemen would be completely wiped out before they could even approach Baza City. Biska's complexion was also extremely unsightly. She looked at Baza City from afar, her heart burning with anxiety, her beautiful eyes brimming with gloom, and she was in a dilemma. The Dark Elves allied forces of the underground world commanded by Biska was only a partial division. The strongest experts in this subdivision merely possessed battle prowess comparable to human level, 2 warlocks. If this subdivision joined hands, they could contend against a human level, 3 warlock. However, when she saw the never-before-seen modern war weapons above the city wall, an ominous premonition shrouded Biska's heart and she somewhat wanted to retreat. Biska hesitated for a moment, then she thought of the punishment she would receive if she failed. She felt a chill in her heart and shouted in a stern voice, "Deploy the giant magical catapults." From the rear of the allied forces, 30 meters long giant trucks pulled by 9 black wildebeests were quickly opened. Sexy and beautiful dark elves quickly assembled many parts engraved with profound runes from the huge trucks. Giant mana catapults that were 30 meters long, engraved with countless magewefts, and equipped with 36 magic stone sockets were quickly assembled. The giant magic energy catapult could throw terrifying boulders with a diameter of more than 20 meters, with a range of up to 5 kilometers. It was one of the Dark Elves' strongest siege weapons. Even if it was a level 3 warlock, their protective force field would be directly smashed and they would be smashed into mincemeat by the boulders of the giant magical energy catapults. The giant magic catapults were extremely precious, and the allied Dark Elves only had 10 of them. Fire. After the Night Elves assembled half of the giant magic energy catapults, the corners of Yang Feng's mouth rose, his eyes flashed with a cold glint, and he ordered. 20 self-propelled cannons that hadn't fired before were instantly adjusted by the smart chip and fired. Boom! 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 Along with earth-shattering booms, the 10 newly assembled giant magic energy catapults were engulfed by the artillery fire of the self-propelled cannons, before exploding into pieces and splashing in all directions. Seeing the giant magic energy catapults explode into pieces, the allied dark elves immediately split up and fled frantically. The giant magic energy catapults were positioned behind them. Now that the giant magic energy catapults were destroyed by Yang Feng's artillery fire, then Yang Feng's artillery fire could also hit them. Retreat! Retreat! Biska was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood when she saw this scene. She had a gloomy expression as she screamed loudly. Shortly after, the enormous Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld collapsed, before leaving behind countless supply wagons and retreating towards the rear. Long live Lord Rex! Long live Lord Rex! Above Baza City, when the human warriors saw this scene, they erupted into crazy cheers. If it wasn't for Yang Feng's appearance, then they might have already become the captives of the Dark Elves, living a life worse than death. After seeing the Dark Elves' defeat, they were brimming with worship towards Yang Feng. Yang Feng looked at the retreating Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld, his gaze flickered a few times, but he didn't give the order to pursue. Instead, he let the level 4 primary battle robots continue to hunt down the cavemen. Yang Feng looked at the retreating Dark Elves' allied forces, the corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile. Now is still not the time. These Dark Elves can't be defeated yet. With Yang Feng's current forces, he could dispatch a large number of primary battle robots and easily annihilate this wave of Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld. But in that case, he would receive the attention of the Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld, then the next enemy he would have to face would be God knows how many times stronger. Johann didn't want to completely consume his strength in the continuous battle against the Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld. That's why he chose to quickly withdraw all of his strength from Satsuma Marquidam. Similarly, Yang Feng also didn't want to consume all of his strength in the battle against the Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld. What's your name? Yang Feng arrived before Ares, looked at the warrior with the most outstanding performance and asked in a deep voice. Ares knelt on one knee on the ground, looked up at Yang Feng and said, "My name is Ares, Darren Lord." Although Ares was a knight rank expert, but he wasn't a warlock, nor was he an aristocrat, so when he saw the Lord, he naturally had to kneel on one knee to show his allegiance. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, "I'm very fond of your loyalty and bravery. Are you willing to become my retainer?" Ares' eyes flashed with a touch of delight and he said loudly, "Mighty Darren Lord, to become your retainer would be my greatest honor." Yang Feng pressed the dimensional crest on his chest, a bronze chest immediately flew out from the dimensional crest and landed in front of Ares. Yang Feng said, "Cut open your wrist and sprinkle your blood all over this chest." Ares didn't hesitate, he directly brandished his sword and cut open his wrist. A large amount of blood spurted out from his blood vessels and sprinkled inside the bronze chest. The bronze chest at once blossomed with a cyan radiance and directly opened, revealing a bronze lion with countless mysterious runes engraved on its body. The bronze lion quickly decomposed into pieces of armor and quickly flew towards Ares, forming a set of bronze armor on his body. There were 9 grooves on the front and back of the bronze armor, each groove was embedded with an intermediate magic stone. Chapter 113. That bronze-colored armor covered Ares' entire body. Shortly after, an incomparably formidable power was transmitted from the armor, making Ares feel as if his body was brimming with power. "Ao!" Ares suddenly faced upwards and issued a bellow. In a flash, a terrifying life force comparable to that of a level 1 warlock erupted, pressuring the surrounding ordinary human warriors to the point that they were somewhat breathless. Ares at once knelt on the ground and said loudly, "Many thanks to his lord for bestowing me with power." After wearing this mystical armor, I feel as if my power has been promoted to that of a Sky Knight rank. I'm willing to become his lord's retainer and be loyal to you for generations to come. I'll become your shield, I'll resist all harm for you, I'll become your sharp sword, I'll behead all enemies for you. When the human warriors above the city wall heard Ares' words, their eyes flashed with a whiff of jealousy. Especially the eyes of several great knights whose strength was originally far above Ares, their eyes were brimming with jealousy and envy. Gazes were concentrated on the bronze-colored armor on Ares' body. Everyone knew that it was definitely a secret treasure made by a formidable warlock alchemist. At the same time, gazes were also concentrated on Yang Feng. Those great knights of Baza City longed to become Yang Feng's retainers like Ares, to obtain the secret treasure that resembled the bronze-colored armor and obtain tremendous power. The corners of Yang Feng's mouth rose slightly and his eyes flashed with a whiff of a smile. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he bestowed Ares with this secret treasure armor that was a fusion of warlock and Shizu technology, in order to win over the hearts of Baza City's people and recruit even more experts. That secret treasure armor could allow a knight rank expert to possess battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 Sky Knight. However, its manufacturing cost was more than 100 times that of a level 7 bladed troop. In terms of quality-price ratio, it simply wasn't worth it. However, in terms of winning over the hearts of the people, the secret treasure armor's value was extremely huge. This secret treasure armor not only made Ares submit to Yang Feng, but at the same time, it also attracted the desire of countless human experts to rely on Yang Feng and obtain power. In this way, Yang Feng could quickly stabilize the hearts of the people in Baza City and recruit a large number of experts. Yang Feng smiled slightly, pressed the dimensional crest on his chest, and a knowledge crystal immediately appeared in his hand. This secret treasure bronze armor is called Green Fang Lion. I'll now impart to you a cultivation secret method. With the help of the Green Fang Lion, as long as you work hard, then you can promote to a genuine level 1 Sky Knight within a few years. At that time, coupled with the Green Fang Lion, even a level 2 warlock may not be your match. A look of ecstasy flashed in Ares' eyes. He immediately took the knowledge crystal and said, "Thank you, my lord." On top of the city wall, all the human experts looked at Ares with jealousy in their eyes. Sky Knights were very rare in Tyrannid subcontinent. On one hand, it was because the gifted geniuses basically walked the warlock's path, on the other hand, it was because secret methods to practice Sky Knights were very rare. A secret method that allowed one to reach the Sky Knight level could create a powerful knight clan. Although a Sky Knight's battle prowess couldn't compare to that of an official level 1 warlock, but a Sky Knight already had the power to kill a level 1 warlock. Such an expert status in Tyrannid subcontinent was still quite high. Yang Feng casually took out a secret method that allowed one to practice until the Sky Knight level. It naturally aroused the envy of countless human knight rank experts. As night fell, the entire land was shrouded in a layer of darkness. Dark elves, as if invisible, blended into the dim light of the night and silently stealthily moved towards Baza City. Dark elves had fallen from the ranks of high elves. They had betrayed the primary god of the elven divine system, the elven ruler Daonas, and worshipped the goddess Lolth. Lolth had also spent a large amount of her divine power to bestow the dark elves with the power of dark blessing. In the darkness, they practically had the innate power of invisibility. Furthermore, their physical constitution would increase by 30% in the darkness, and they would possess the innate dark vision, allowing them to clearly see everything in the darkness. Their battle prowess would nearly double. With a little training, they would become one of the most terrifying assassins in the darkness. It was precisely by relying on the power of dark blessing that the dark elves could become an overlord in the underworld where experts were as common as clouds and freaks were as common as rain. Even though the goddess Lolth incited the dark elves to kill each other in order to please her, the dark elves still didn't betray their beliefs because they needed the power of the goddess Lolth. As if invisible, the dark elves easily stealthily moved to a place approximately 100 meters away from Baza City. However, they didn't discover that a place approximately 100 meters away from Baza City was densely interwoven with infrared rays, which were practically invisible to the naked eye, forming a large net. As soon as a dark elf entered that large net, the automatic heavy machine gun mounted on top of Baza City's city wall immediately spun, before madly spitting out countless tongues of flame, directly tearing the dark elf to pieces. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Loud mechanically synthesized alarms instantly resounded in Baza City. Huge flares rose into the sky and blossomed with endless radiance. As if small suns, they brightly illuminated Baza City's surroundings. Densely packed human warriors quickly poured out from every corner and rushed towards the city wall. Retreat! Retreat immediately! When Biska, who was in charge of the sneak attack, saw the tyrannical dark elves being blown up one by the automatic machine gun, she was so depressed that she almost wanted to spit blood. She quickly issued the order to retreat. Only then did the tyrannical dark elves retreat, leaving behind several hundred blasted corpses. Yang Feng arrived above the city wall, looked at the several hundred blasted corpses of the dark elves below, and revealed a trace of a smile. They really haven't learned their lesson. But this way, Baza City shouldn't need me to stand guard here. The following plan can also continue. The greatest advantage of the Dark Elves was that they could take advantage of the darkness of the night to launch their attacks. Now that the night raid of the Dark Elves had been thwarted, it wouldn't be so simple for them to attack Baza City. After Yang Feng easily defeated the allied forces of the Underworld's Dark Elves, he quickly obtained information on the state of the world from his intelligence network. The Dark Elves united with the Underworld's major races and practically captured all of the human warlock strongholds in the Underworld. Warlock College Antalya, White Elephant's Ivory and Eyes of Justice, the three major forces had the most strongholds in the Underworld. Under the raid of the Dark Elves, they suffered disastrous casualties, with each force losing at least one level 3 warlock. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.